Sir, presentation.
उसे था मैंने प्लीज बोला कि साहब इंटरव्यू तो दूसरा बोल दिया हमारे
Masuk ber switch होगा इंटरनेट पकड़े के आगे switch होगा masuk ber नेट पर लेके आगे switch होगा तब से केबल आएगी आगे आगे हाँ switch ऑन करिए और आगे
Thank you. I also have my co-presenter Padmaraj Pankaj. He is an IT expert and I have taken a lot of support in terms of really understanding what false positives is and what is the general scenario of AI in education in Nepal. So we begin with the scenario analysis of Nepali context of digital landscape.
Thank you. Good morning. Talking about the technical infrastructure at Nepal, we had 2.6 million population had access to the connectivity. It's around 132%. Likewise, you have 98% bandwidth coverage. Almost 77 districts within the 7 provinces in Nepal. In the beginning, we have started BTech IT and MTech IT. Also, some programs in AI, bachelor and master's level. Likewise, we have some AI-driven industry area evolution, like some restaurant use AI chat as well as robotics, we solve for clients. We have high-speed internet bandwidth. Almost we depend on Airtel, Jio, and Tata. We have a nationwide ICT policy in 2015, and now we have a national AI policy in draft 2025. Also, AI in education framework, which is under draft, very soon finalizing. Please, over to Devasan.
Thank you. This national AI policy has recently been endorsed, but this AI framework is still under revision. Okay, to give us a very brief introduction to the background of this particular research, why we are into this kind of deceptive topic, false positives. This is because, of course, we encourage students to use AI as a supportive assistance, but most of the time, what happens is students rely on the AI as a sole kind of support system, maybe a kind of AI authorship, which is not acceptable. That's what I think the name was indicating. And sometimes what happens is our reading, writing, and everything today might appear to be more like following the pattern of AI. And sometimes students fall into this kind of victimization, since they are working independently on their own. But maybe sometimes they have to use Grammarly to check their grammar only. But when we put that into detection system, it shows higher level of AI. And it's also, since the universities are inconsistent about the AI label policy, some of them are following zero tolerance policy. Some of them are accepting 20% AI label. So sometimes students think that, since other friends are doing or their papers are accepted at 10 level percentage of AI or something, they might be tempted to use AI and then not caring about the percentage, since they are more focused on their own honesty in terms of working on the paper. But sometimes what happens is, the level of AI might appear to be problematic. So we started with one specific case that I personally encountered with my student, who in my university, the policy is 0% for the PhD in the initial phase. So that means zero tolerance. They have to rework, and reduce down. That means there's so much of mechanical thing. 5% AI might be, if you see it in terms of content, there is no larger content detected as AI generated, maybe a few words. But that adds up to becoming 4%, 5% automatically. And that sometimes is a very pattern kind of, I think, objective of the study sometimes. And I'm not talking about plagiarism, only AI. The papers do not have any issue with plagiarism, but only with AI detection level. So that victimizes the students, and then that put a lot of toil on the students' mental states. So we are talking about these false positives. That means human text flagged as AI. And sometimes again, the false negatives are also there. AI tests are also not detected next time. But the first time when they are put in the system, it shows that it is AI generated. The next time, the same system sometimes we false that it is AI. It is not AI generated. That means the results are also inconsistent, and this is proven by research. So our focus is on the small number of group of students who have had this kind of problems, who claim to be innocent, but they are detected having some level of AI in the writing. So how do false positives navigate trust, well-being, and pedagogical relationship among PhD students and their supervisors in Nepal? So that was our focus in this study. And we studied this through a very qualitative interpretive-based design with four supervisors, two from each university of, we have studied two only, and each professor supervising two students, and those students who are willing to share their experiences with AI detection and its subsequent emotional distress. So what came out was something, all of these students who refer to their experiences are also perception about AI use in terms of supporting them in their academic writing was algorithmic suspicion. They suspected that the data are reliable. And then that they shared some of these experiences. I would like to just read one. It feels like I'm guilty first, then maybe innocent if the score is low enough. When, for example, one university accepts 20%, and then if it is lesser than 20, they feel it is relieved. In the other university, when it is 0%, maybe 1 or 2% might be considered by the professors, even if this is very informal policy. Because of the university do not have written policy on this, but in terms of practice, what professors would generally recommend is it should be lower. It should be lower. No, not exact data, but lower. So maybe 1 or 2% are, in terms of practice, they are accepted. But when I sent one of my students' research paper to the research committee, it was 4% AI, and then that rejected. And we had to rework on that, and then it was 1%, and it was okay. So, but in terms of communicating, they said it should be 0%, or at least the AI level should not be detected anywhere. So the students' experience is that the emotion, they have the anxiety and self-doubt about their own work. They have to prove their innocence against the pattern, against the writing pattern. So sometimes what happens with students develop their own writing skills through months of reading and writing after writing and attending workshops, and they doubt whether whatever they are written on their own, it might resemble like AI generated pattern, and they have to question: is it something that I copied, or is it something that the AI just shows it? So that's the kind of experiences that students have. If you see this one example here, 21% AI flag on my literature review made me doubt 3 years of reading. I wondered if I even belong in a PhD program. That's the kind of academic, emotional distress that students undergo. And when we talk to them very personally, their especially with the supervisors, they also take on this idea that it's not the students are not the problem. The problem is the system of relying too much on the tool. Since the tools themselves have high error rates and also systemic bias in terms of non-native speakers following a certain pattern of writing and lack of credibility. And this lack of credibility is something that even AI detection softwares, make a kind of disclaimer that they have low accuracy. And the paradox is sometimes students are pushed for, punished for learning. That means when they say that their writing skill has increased, they're writing better. That's the level of confidence that they say. But when it comes to the AI test, maybe it detects at some level. I'm not referring to very high, but even if it is not very 5-6% of AI level, they will question their own, innocence. So the supervisors are also caught in the dilemma between this policy and suspend. Though the acceptance level is somehow communicated verbally, there is no specific written policy as of today. They often, the research committees often it is under draft. In their draft, it is around in one university is 20%, in another university still AI level is 0%, zero tolerance. But in terms of practice, I say that maybe around 1 to 2% are accepted as of now. But students lack proper guidance on differentiating AI assistance from AI authorship. They are treated as if they have taken AI in the second half. So the focus would be on transparent policy processes for students to appeal in this kind of detection. If there are some issues, how they can appeal for the process check. There is no support mechanism like that. So our the research indicates that we need a kind of focus on shifting from policing, punishment to pedagogy, process improvement. So more process-oriented, trust-based framework for AI assessment. And again, the solution is the process, focusing on the integrity of the process rather than the score, AI score. And some of the ideas for trust building could be dialogical verification with the supervisors and the students' engagement in the research writing process, and also seeing of the research diaries, field notes, and also process evidence check, audit trial, and also making some kind of co-creating clear guidelines with the students and acceptable and unacceptable use of AI. So the principles of trust-based system could be, this is what the kind of theorization of this study is. We should focus on these three key clear guidelines: transparency, due processes, and equity. So the path forward is rethinking assessment, building capacity of the supervisors as well as the research writing students, and the focus will be on human-centric assessment, faculty's expertise, and dialogical relationship. With this, we close our session. Thank you so much. Yes.
I feel very important topic, and also this is something which is troubling all of us. I just wanted to know what the research.
As interview basically these four supervisors and there are two students. Each of them paired with two students.
So,
Qualitative.
so it is qualitative, and you are taking 6.
No, altogether, altogether 8 students, co-supervisors.
8 students, 12. Then how did you analyze them? How did you analyze the interview?
Yes, so we have taken help of the in vivo software to organize all of these multiple it was 24 pages of data set, and then we use the in vivo for some of the themes that I presented here, and made using that the thematic analysis.
You did thematic
Yes.
analysis. Now I just wanted to ask you, have you gone beyond the identification of the themes and tried to
Yes,
see the correlation?
yes. We actually this one thing that we highlighted here, this dialogic verification is something that we that was not identified by the in vivo software, and then since this idea came very often by the student side rather than from the faculty side, we again went back to the supervisors and also check whether this is something that you also felt, and then they also said how they. So it was supported by follow-up interviews with the supervisors, and then we get one district thing.
Since you have taken two perspectives, have you
Yes.
tried to do some triangulation?
Yeah.
Have you tried to do some triangulation?
Yes, in terms of the triangulation from students with faculty and one university participants with the next university participants. But in terms of methodological triangulation, we couldn't do it. We do not have any observable data to, that was a part of research ethics. So we said that we do not need your reports, just share your experiences.
Just one question from the audience.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. I now invite Professor Shubham Pal Singh, Gazetted Officer, CGWB, Ministry of Jal Shakti, to kindly present the paper titled Innovations in Rehabilitation, Improving Safety, Efficiency, and Life Cycle of Borewell Drilling Equipment.
Actually, I already sent them on WhatsApp. And also.
So, very warm good morning to respected dignitaries on the desk and all students and faculties present here. So, this is Shubham Palsi, working as a officer, vested officer in Ministry of Jal Shakti, got selected through engineering services, UPSC this year. And yes, and I'm alumnus of BITS Pilani, I'm from BITS Pilani, and I'm working as a visiting professor at BITS Pilani. So I'm a student also. I was a student also, and I joined BITS Pilani as a guest faculty visiting professor. So this paper that I have written, it's about the tender that we have got this year for our break. Earlier, what we used to have is that we used to have rigs from foreign Netherlands and all. But this time, what we have done is that we have gone for made in India concept. Like what all features that we were having procured from the foreign. Now we have made a group of engineers who have designed the rig and made it possible for the innovation and the design in India. And so this is the paper which is about that. So, so as you can see that innovation in rehabilitation, improving safety, efficiency, life cycle of borewell drilling equipment. So yeah, so this paper has been submitted in the IJRA International Journal on Research in Technology, and as I'm working in Ministry of Jal Shakti, so this paper has been submitted there also, and this paper has been approved by BITS Plan also. So yeah. Coming to the abstract for this one. So why drilling is important? The major role of drilling is related to groundwater. So groundwater drilling is vital for Indian water resources management and increasing demand for potable and agricultural water. As you know that in our Ministry of Jal Shakti, it is related to groundwater monitoring, groundwater assessments. Like in some areas, like there is water scarcity is there, where is water abundance is there. So we need to do the drilling and we need to see the water level there. In what areas water level is more, in what areas water level is less. So how we'll measure that? There are different parameters it is there. So we are measuring through we are doing the drilling and the aquifers which are present at different levels. We are measuring it through LPS, liter per second. So that is the mechanism we are following that. So as you can see, the new rig that is present there, this has been designed by us, made in India concept. And this, I am very fortunate enough that in 6 months of joining, I was involved in this design. So they have given me the chance. So I'm thankful to Ministry of Jal Shakti for this one. So the problem, what is there? What we faced, the earlier two rigs we were having, like DTH LMP 87 and DTH RECP 88 and 92. Both of these rigs were procured from Netherlands, and it is procured 45 years before. So I think 45 years or 50 years before. So at the time of independence, government has taken these rigs from Netherlands. But the new concept or the vision of PM Modi ji, we have brought it here, where we have tried to make the same thing, the same technical advancement which is present in the rigs of Netherlands. We have brought it, and we have taken the challenge, and we have tried to modify in our rigs and made in India concept. So these were the problems, and so the old rig we have given the exceeded the design life, and we have seen what breakdowns it is there, safety risks and all, and we have tried to modify that rig. And how we have done this, so we'll be seeing this forward. So objective. So the objective of our rig is that the old rigs which we are having, we are giving the new life to that rigs. So the new rigs, the new advancement which we are having there, we are giving 15 years of service life, new service life to our rigs, to the two rigs which we are having. So whatever work we have done, so scope of work that we have done, we can see here. First, we have done the dismantling of all the technical equipment. Rigs moved from old chassis to new BS6 compliant, as we know that government has made necessary that the new vehicles which will be there, it will be BS6 compliant heavy duty trucks. Second, the structural refurbishments. So in that, what is there? The mass system which is there, the pull down cylinders, the hosting arrangements, all the things has been changed in that. So earlier the pump which was there was 60 was of 60 GPM, gallon per minute, and now the new pumps that has been installed is on 79 GPM, gallons per minute. So the main advantage of this is that earlier we used to have like drilling of 200 till 200 meters, but now as the efficiency has increased to 79 GPM, the drilling can be gone till can be done till 500 meters because of this. So the motors has been changed, the control valves, hoses, filtration, cooling unit, everything has been changed in that. The key technical updates that has been done. The hosting capacity has been increased to 13,000 kilogram force. The pull down capacity of the mast has been increased to 7,000 kg. The rotary top has been increased to 570 kilogram meter square. So the auxiliary system which were present, there were automatic rod changer facility we have given. We have given it through a sensor system. Earlier there were no sensor system, but this time we have implemented the sensor system. So the whole mechanism is based on mechatronics. So it is a relation of mechanical and electronic system where we'll be using the sensors for the automatic drill rods changing. So it is saving our time. Like earlier it used to take 30 minutes for changing of rods and pulling it down, putting it down. Now it is taking hardly 2 minutes or 5 minutes. So it is taking a lot of time saving, and this project has been appreciated by Ministry of Jal Shakti. So yeah, so the additional what we have put inside is water and foam injection system has been put, and new 4 leveling jacks has been put in there. So yeah, this is the key specification that we are having here. So now coming to the next part. So the performance comparison. So earlier the rigs we were having is before rehabilitation, the service life was around 10 years. But now after rehabilitation, it has been extended to 25 years. So the improvement that is there is 150%. and the hosting capacity which is there for earlier rigs, it was 9,000, but now after rehabilitation, it is 13,000 kgf kilogram force. So it is 44.4% increase in the hosting capacity. The pull down force, earlier it used to have 4,000 kilogram force. Now it has been increased to 7,000. So as you can see that it is increasing more than 50%. So the drilling, earlier we used to do the drilling till 200 meters. Now we can go till 500 meters. So it has been the pull down force has been, the improvement has been 75% in there. The rotary torque, which was earlier 350, now it is 570. So it is the improvement is 62.8% in our new machine. The drilling cycle time, it was 100%, 100% baseline, but now it is taking 70%. So it is 30%. It's faster. Why it is faster? Sir, already I have told you that the sensor system that we have put, sir, earlier it used to take 30 minutes for changing of rods and doing all the other stuffs. But now automatic sensor system has reduced the time and it is 30% faster. So the operational cost, earlier the operational cost, we used to bring the whole rig from Netherlands. So it is 100%. Now what we have done is that the truck which is there, sir, on that we have mounted, we have designed that rig in that format that the truck will be new and the parts will be there, will be designing it and will be mounting it. So the operational cost has been reduced to 50%. So half it is, the cost has been reduced to half, and the efficiency has been increased to 150%. So this is the major achievement that we have done, sir, this year through Ministry of Jal Shakti, and this has been appreciated by our Minister Shri C.R. Patil, sir. And so yeah. So quality control and sustainability. So we have a structural inspection. We have a 3 level of process inspection in that. The members which were involved in that is regional director, sir, executive engineer, sir, and the officers, new officers like me, who were involved in this process of rehabilitation. Stages inspections will be there, where each officers will be going there and doing the individual checks of every building which is happening there. And because it is a made in India project, so we have made it compulsory that each and new officer who is there, he has to check through his theoretical knowledge and all, that everything is going well and each and every step has been followed rigorously. And the pre-dispatch inspection. So there is like confirmed performance of the system, like the pre-dispatch inspection. What the company has given us, that there will be a pre-dispatch inspection will be there. We will be drilling the 3 rods, and through this 3 drilling of 3 rods, we'll be checking the performance of our new rig. If it will be good, then we will be go ahead with the procurement. Otherwise, we'll be telling them to give machinery to do it better and all. So now the final inspection. The final inspection that will be there, the required demonstration of 200-meter drilling of depth using the DTS method system. So first time in the history of Ministry of Jal Shakti, this 225 meters of drilling has been completed in less than 9 hours. So in 70 years, this is the first time that this new rig has done. No previous rig has achieved this target. That 235 meters of drilling has been done in less than 9 hours. So the appreciation has come from the Ministry of Jal Shakti for this procurement of this rig, and they have appreciated this hard work and the efforts of engineers and all the designers, and the whole ministry is very, very happy with this work which has been done. So the financial quality assurance also, as we have reduced the cost of this rig also to 50%. They have what they have done is that they have taken this tender as a role model for bringing the further tender process for other divisions and all over India, as this work has been done in Hyderabad. So Hyderabad is the #1 division which is there in all India. So the other centers which are there, they are planning to do the same kind of work, and the engineers which are there, so they are following the same procedure. So the cost effectiveness, environmental, seeing the environmental issues, we have BS6 compliance trucks, and we have followed the things. So, innovation, national development, and Viksit Bharat, as our PM Modi sir has a vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, and we have followed the same concept of Made in India concept, and the translating research to policy. So, what they have seen is that they have collected those engineers who are having a research aptitude, who were having research aptitude, who were very good at designing the things, designing the machinery. As I was MTech from BITS Pilani in design engineering, I was very good at the concept of designing the machine parts, the whole vehicle. Designing and all, tolerance, accuracy, precision, all the things I was from initial point to final point, I was there. So all the things has been done. The entire project from concept to cost benefit analysis was proposed as a comprehensive tender to the Ministry of Jal Shakti, demonstrating the potential for engineering innovation to drive this policy. The successful execution of this rehabilitation model directly contributes to the national goals of water security and fiscal efficiency. As it is been mentioned in the parliament that the major objective of Ministry of Jal Shakti is to provide the free and to give the citizens their water security. Water security means we have to, in rural areas and in urban areas, both we have to focus that in each and every home we are giving, we are providing good water, fresh water, and in rural areas also we have through Ministry of Jal Shakti we have ensured that the tap water or bore wells we will be giving in villages. Will be doing the borewell and giving them the free water. It's an initiative of Har Ghar Jal Yojana has been there through Ministry of Jal Shakti, and we are working on that rigorously. And the crucial role of BITS Pilani, so academic collaboration. So as I was an alumni of BITS Pilani, I was involved with the many professor in this tender. I was taking the suggestions. I'm working on this whether it is fine or not. So they have contributed a lot. The rigorous data-driven methodology that underpin the technical specification and financial viability of the proposal was supported by academic excellence and research framework of BITS Pilani, Rajasthan. So as an alumni, I am very proud that I have done this work, and it has been appreciated by the Vice Chancellor, Professor V. Ram Gopal Rao sir also. And so this collaboration exemplifies the successful model of translating academic research. And this, as we know that working on papers is different and working on field is very different. If you are able to successfully do the learnings into the real-time projects, it's a very big achievement for us, and we have done that, and we are very proud of it. Indirectly, we are contributing to the nation building and Viksit Bharat. So yeah, thank you very much. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So actually, I just wanted to highlight these things in this conference, and I would like to thank Dr. Rishimon Bhatnagar and Dr. Ajay Kumar Singh sir, who is the chairman of this DSPR, who has been directly guiding me in this thing, and the machinery drilling rig and the organization Ministry of Jal Shakti and BITS Pilani. And thank you very much. Any questions?
Anyone would like to ask any question? Shobhanji, I would like to give you a congratulations for your ethical contribution for the development. Thank you so much. You are giving tremendous contribution to the this is really excellent work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, what I wanted to know was, how did you develop the matrix for, first of all, how much money did you save?
Actually, the whole tender was of 2 crore rupees. No?
Hmm.
So the savings has been done in two parts. No? The first thing is that the mounting of truck. We have separated earlier. The machinery used to come in one full machine, but we have separated that in two parts.
नहीं तो further future के लिए ये तो 2 crore का आप नहीं कर सकते. Let's say first of all you have your own patented technology now,
Yes.
which is very important.
Yes.
So in future, let's say in future, how much would the saving be?
Like this time, ma'am, the whole tender was of 2 crores, but we have finished that in 80 lakh rupees. The whole thing. So हम लोग ने कैसे सेव किया? हमने सेव ऐसे किया मैम, जो लोकल मेड इन इंडिया जैसे MMR माइनिंग
अभी आपने 1 करोड़ 20 लाख किया है, और भविष्य में इस टेक्नोलॉजी से तो आप करोड़ों करोड़ों करेंगे, and plus employment generation, plus made in India. So the जो आप कह रहे हैं indirectly is very direct contribution.
Yes,
and congratulations, you are such a young boy. Congratulations. अब एक दूसरा सवाल है. एक तो मैं चाहूंगी आपकी further contribution के लिए you properly sit down and try to establish that how much will be the contribution, direct and indirect contribution of this research, tangible finance में, और कैसे होगा. आप कितनी रिग्स यूज करते हैं, तो आप जितनी रिग्स करते हैं उसको मल्टीप्लाई करिए, तो आपका हजारों करोड़ में आएगा. मुझे ऐसा लगता है. तो एक तो ये एस्टैब्लिश करना बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज इफ थिंग्स कम ऑन पेपर देन इट बिकम्स. सो आपको एक फॉलो अप पेपर आप ये लिख सकते हैं. दूसरी मुझे बताइए, हाउ डिड यू डेवलप द क्वालिटी चेक मैट्रिक्स?
The quality check matrix, ma'am, this as I was very new, the whole directions were given by the executive engineer who were
आप एक ना ये क्वालिटी चेक मैट्रिक्स भी कर दीजिए,
okay.
क्योंकि आपके this is a replicatable technology. Have you patented it?
अभी तो नहीं किया.
नहीं, ये तो बहुत जरूरी है. ये यही द्वारका में ये बाइक पेटेंट का. तो सबसे पहले तो आप पेटेंट करवाइए, and there are firms which can do your patent, because आपसे it's a procedural thing. So first of all you get it patented, which is very important, and then you develop a proper matrix for quality control. कि आपने एक कर दिया and then others are going to make it. ऐसा नहीं हो कि आपकी जो टेक्नोलॉजी है वो लोग गलत तरीके से बना के ब्लेम आप पर आए. तो आप एक क्वालिटी कंट्रोल मैट्रिक्स करिए. सो देयर कैन बी टू. अभी आपका काम शुरू हुआ है, and since you have done it, you have to take it further. It's a really very good work. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. Do we have Mrs. Varsha Bhatnagar with us? I now invite Mrs. Varsha Bhatnagar, Assistant Professor, Jagannath University, Bahadurgarh, Haryana, to present paper titled Reconceptualizing Leadership in a Changing World from Hierarchical Control to Adaptive and Ethical Influence.
A very good morning to Dr. Vijeta and Agarwal sir for sparing your time on Sunday, I would say. And thank you all the members present here for being a part of this conference. And I'm Varsha Matnagar, Assistant Professor, Jagannath University. And I'm here to present the my presentation on reconceptualizing leadership in changing world from hierarchical control to adaptive and ethical influence. Just a brief introduction about I would like to say is, as you all know, leadership is changing and the world, and it's leading to new dimensions and new horizons. The world presently has become a very volatile, uncertain, and anxious place, as we know. Okay, fine, sir. Okay, fine. So the objective of my presentation, it examines fundamental changes needed in leadership to address the complexities of 26 global landscape. As we all know, as I told you, Donald Trump is doing many things in the world, which is affecting and changing the scene of leadership in the world. My study underscores the need to reconceptualize leadership to remain compelling and legitimate in an increasingly uncertain world. Now, the leader needs to empower people, inspire people, lead a change, and share a vision where the world becomes a better place to live in, whether the country or the people are powerful or powerless. Conventional leadership models grounded in hierarchy, stability, and control are increasingly inadequate for addressing contemporary organizational changes. So, a new sort of leadership is coming out, which is the leadership must evolve. Either we adapt or we fail. We need to change, and we need to make ourselves more efficient with the AI tools and the power of the social media, which is very fast changing, uniting people, as we can see what happened in Bangladesh. The youth of Gen Z united via this social media, and they had done a hell lot of things which shouldn't have been done. So leadership needs to understand the changes at the grassroots level, and what changes are to be required have to be done. Traditional leadership traits have to be reframed. I would just like to name the traditional leadership traits, which was based on behavioral power, influential leadership, and situational leadership. But now the leaders have to be very smart to understand the diplomatic relations and the fast-changing political conditions in the world. We also need a transformational and a charismatic leadership, the leadership in which the people can see faith, the people can see change, the people can see and have faith in the leadership. Leaders can motivate followers to transcend self-interest and pursue of collective goals. Now, what I mean to say is, leader ऐसा होना चाहिए जो लोगों को ये समझा सके कि collective goal के लिए या देश की progress के लिए अपने personal goals छोड़ने पड़ेंगे. As you all know, कि many times leaders say कि Make in India को promote करते हैं. As we all know that Modi ji, the Prime Minister of India, focuses on Make in India. So we should promote Make in India. It's very simple. Amazon is offering cashback if we order things from Amazon now or Amazon Prime. But the thing is that the money is going to Amazon. And as we know, when we were facing pandemic like COVID, these companies were the last one, or they did not at all pay for the pandemic conditions the country was trying to come out. In fact, the Indian companies really donated a huge amount for handling all that. So what I want to say is we should focus on the leaders and we should focus on the conditions and where our money is going so that we can also contribute to the progress of the nation. Now, the ethical and the servant leadership was the concept running till now. We being a welfare state, India is a democratic republic and a welfare state where the views of people are very important. But the thing is that this type of leadership sometimes has to take stringent and active decisions, like the decision taken of Notbandi, which helped and which broke the backbone of many of the people who were जो लोग बहुत सारे जाली नोट छाप रहे थे, तो the fake currency automatically brought the countries who were dealing in fake currency of India to their knees. And redefining leadership is, we could redefine leadership by making the leadership adaptive. Understanding leadership in a changing world requires moving beyond static models and embracing leadership as a dynamic social process shaped by global forces, technological change, and moral responsibility. जो लीड कर रहा है उसको देश की जनता के साथ मॉरल कनेक्ट करना बहुत जरूरी है. देश की जनता को ये नहीं लगना चाहिए कि उन्हें चीट किया जा रहा है या उनकी मर्जी के बिना हो रहा है. For example, I gave you the example of Notbandi. So Modi had to justify why he did that and how is it in the favorable condition of a nation. Then the leader needs to be accountable. The leader needs to be accountable कि उसने जो भी changes करे हैं उनका purpose क्या है, reason क्या है और उसके foresighted effects क्या होंगे. Shift in the global economic powers, social movements, and changes in the environment require a leader who can predict the change beforehand. आसपास वर्ल्ड में चेंज हो इससे पहले देश की जो लीडर है वो अज्यूम कर ले कि क्या चेंजेस हो सकते हैं और हमें उससे अपना बचाव कैसे करना है. And hence guide the organization or the nation through uncertain times. Some key aspects of effective leadership skills are: a leader should be emotionally intelligent, he should be effective communicator, and he should accept diversity of thoughts. Because opponents bhi aayenge, diversity of thoughts definitely aayenge. Different people from different parts of the country have different opinions. So to accept diversity of thoughts is very important. जो अभी नए emerging leadership models आ रहे हैं उसमें human centric leadership आ रही है, because we need to understand people, otherwise people can bring a huge amount of revolution in the country, as I told you, via social media. So I must say कि our जैसा मैंने कल कॉन्फ्रेंस में सुना था कि जो भी हम सॉफ्टवेयर टूल्स यूज कर रहे हैं इंडिया में, whatever the information and social media platforms we are using like Instagram, YouTube, Google, all are foreign based. अगर ये लोग चाहें तो हमारा डेटा बड़ी आसानी से लीक कर देते हैं, कर सकते हैं. For example, चाइना है वो अपना हर जो सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म के लिए जो प्लेटफॉर्म्स यूज कर रहे हैं, जो एप्स यूज कर रहे हैं वो उनके इन हाउस हैं. So the leadership models में I think human centric leadership is required, adaptive leadership is required, ethical and purpose driven leadership, क्योंकि डेफिनेटली लीडर को थोड़ा एथिकल होना एंड पर्पस ड्रिवन होना, उनके सामने एजेंडा होना चाहिए. जैसे कि अभी जो हमारे लास्ट प्रेजेंटर थे, पेपर प्रेजेंटर, उन्होंने कहा मोदी जी इज लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू अ विकसित भारत बाय 2047. तो अगर हमको एक विजन वाला लीडर मिलता है जिनके पास एक एजेंडा है कि हमारे देश को हमें तरक्की के पथ पर लेकर के जाना है, तो द लीडर हैज टू बी पर्पस ड्रिवन. Leadership in times of crisis and uncertainty. Thankfully, our country was very fortunate to have the Prime Minister who could handle the COVID situation and the global pandemics, disasters, geopolitical conflicts, and financial shocks to sudden and severe disruptions so that our country could handle that. Crisis situation handling amplifies leadership visibility and tests leaders' ability to make decisions under pressure, communicate effectively, and maintain trust. We all know that when earlier governments were there, we were not heard at the international platforms. Thanks to Modi ji, at least we are heard at international platforms. India is respected and the people are seen in a more positive way. The power skills of 2026, relational intelligence, the ability to regulate emotions, repair trust, and lead with transparency. Digital acumen, blending AI insights with human judgment, understanding the why behind the what provided by the data. Strategic agility, moving from rigid long-time planning to shorter cycles of planning, adapting, and communicating. As we all know कि अगर हमें किसी goal को achieve करना है, तो हमें short, small goals set करने पड़ेंगे जो जल्दी से achieve हो जाए, so that small and slow steps, one by one, can lead to major change in the world. Now I will come to the conclusion. With increased complexity and interconnectedness worldwide, empathetic, ethical, and forward-looking leaders will be ever in great demand. Reconceptualizing leadership in today's world demands embracing adaptive, empathetic, and inclusive practices. Leaders must shift from traditional authoritative roles to dynamic facilitators who can inspire and empower diverse teams with different thoughts. That's all. And I hope I have justified my point.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone would like to ask a query? Any question? I just listened to paper. I just want to do that. This is about the leadership quality and leadership for politicians.
Yes, sir. For political leaders and as well as for organizational goals also. जो आजकल कॉर्पोरेट्स में काम हो रहा है जितना I should not say that exploitation, लेकिन जिस कदर हमारा youth काम कर रहा है, they're not wrong because we are dumped with work from the European countries and our youth is working day night because वहाँ का जो day cycle है वो हमारे cycle से match नहीं करता.
Saying that human-centered leadership, objective leadership, ethical, proper leadership.
So for finding is yes, sir. समय पे. Yeah, of course. So my core observation in this paper is that the world is changing very fast. बहुत ज़्यादा volatile चीजें हो गई है, लोग बहुत anxious हो गए हैं, social media से unite बहुत जल्दी हो रहे हैं change लाने के लिए और अगर youth को सही guide नहीं मिला, सही guidance या सही direction नहीं मिला, तो बहुत negative role हो सकता है. जैसे कि बांग्लादेश में हुआ, श्रीलंका में हुआ. I mean, if we see India, तो हमें ये लगेगा कि हमारे आसपास के nations में बहुत instability है. तो अभी हमारे youth को हमें बांध के रखना है, एक फॉर्मल एक डायरेक्शन देने वाला एक लीडर चाहिए. तो अभी हमें ऐसा चाहिए कि जो लोगों को ये फेथ जता सके कि नहीं आपका देश एक सही दिशा में जा रहा है और आपका फ्यूचर इज सिक्योर.
जैसे कि डिजाइन में जब असेंबली लाइन प्रोडक्शन था, discipline was very very important.
Right.
After the other creativity has become very important. इसी तरीके से when we are talking about the skills in raising, what two skills are very
I think being empathetic, मतलब किसी की बात को सुनना without being affected, and furthermore to know the conditions beforehand. मतलब मैं ये सोचती हूँ कोई लीडर है तो उसको इतना efficient होना चाहिए कि वो जो मतलब I mean जो near future में चीजें आने वाली है उसको presume करके पहले ही precautions ले सके. दूसरा जो मुझे लगता है AI के साथ leadership को tie करना बहुत जरूरी है. जैसे अभी influencers को award दिया गया था Prime Minister मोदी के थ्रू. So that is also he's keeping the youth with him. So this change what I feel is जी सर. Okay. Specific. Thank you so much, ma'am. I will not say wrong, लेकिन हाँ यहाँ आने से पहले I was a bit nervous, लेकिन जब मैं यहाँ आई तो it was very supportive. Thank you for that.
देखिए यहाँ कोई जज नहीं कर रहा है कॉन्फ्रेंस का मतलब ये होता है कि आपका जो वर्क है वो आप प्रेजेंट करें और उसमें आपको फुल सजेशन मिलेंगे.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, ma'am, for the presentation. I now invite Professor Dr. Mahesh Sharma, sir, Professor and Director DSPSR, to kindly present paper titled Security Challenges in Industrial Cyber Physical Systems in co-authorship with Mr. Ritik Sharma, Assistant Professor, and Mr. Vasu Jain, Student, Ideal Institute of Management and Technology, Delhi.
Please, Mahesh Sharma जी के बाद आपने लिखा है.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, honorable judges. My name is Vasu Jain from Ideal Institute of Management and Technology, Karkadu. I will be presenting my PPT on the topic of security challenges in industrial cyber physical systems with the help of Professor Dr. Mahesh Sharma, Director DSPSR, and Assistant Professor Mr. Ritik Sharma, and Vasu Jain. So, my first slide is introduction to cyber physical systems. So what is cyber physical systems? It integrates computation, communication, and physical process. Sensor collect data from the physical world, software process it, and actuator perform actions in real time. CPS is widely used in smart grids, healthcare systems, transportations, and industrial automations. Its key features include seamless integration, wide applicability, and enhanced automation, making it a foundation of modern smart industries. Now, this is the introduction of CPS, Cyber Physical Systems. Now, the next slide is why CPS security is critical. Why it is critical? Because security in CPS is extremely important because it combines IT and operational technology. Security breaches may lead to system downtime, infrastructure damage, financial losses, and even risk to human life. In sectors like power grids and transportation, CPS attacks can also have national security implications. Therefore, CPS security is a critical concern. And physical impact of cyber attack is operational disruptions and downtime, damage to critical infrastructure, financial losses, and reputational harm. And the other one is safety and infrastructure risk is potential for environmental disasters, threat to human life and public safety, national security implications. This is the why CPS security is critical. Now the next slide is problem statement and research. Traditional IT security solutions are designed for CPS environment. CPS system have real-time constraints, specialized hardware and unique communication protocols. There is also lack of proactive defense mechanisms as most exciting solution as reactive. These limitations highlight the need for CPS specific intelligent and proactive security solutions which motivates this research. And there is current limitation of traditional IT security, need for CPS specific security, and third one is proactive defense gap. Now the fourth one slide is CPS architecture view. What is CPS architecture view? A typical CPS architecture consists of three layers. Basically, the sensor layers collect data from the physical environment. The second one is network layer enables communication between components. The third one is the controller and application layer process data and control system behavior. Each layer is critical and introduces its own security vulnerabilities, making layered protection essential. So this is all about the CPS architecture overview. Now the next is security challenges and threat landscapes. The CPS threat landscape is complex and continuously evolving. Threat actors include nation state actors, attackers, cyber criminals, and insiders. CPS attacks are often highly targeted and sophisticated, exploiting industrial protocols also. Additionally, CPS environments suffer from legacy systems, high interconnectivity, and limited security resources, increasing their vulnerability. So the next one slide is attack vectors and vulnerabilities. So what is attack vectors and vulnerabilities of CPS? CPS is vulnerable, I know. We know also CPS is vulnerable to multiple attack vectors. These include network attack like DOS and man-in-the-middle attacks, malware and ransomware, targeting SCADA systems, and physical tampering with sensor or controllers. Many industrial systems are used unencrypted communication protocols, making them easy targets. These vulnerabilities emphasize the need for specialized CPS security. And there is point some network CPS are susceptible to various attack vectors targeting different layer of their architecture from network communication to physical interface. That first is network attack, second is malware and ransomware, as I have discussed. Third one is physical tampering, and fourth one is communication weakness. Next one is proposed multi-layered security framework. So what is proposed multi-layered security framework is to address these issues, we propose a multi-layered security framework based on the defense in that the infrastructure layer secures physical devices and network. The detection and data layer focuses on monitoring data protection and anomaly detection. The core assets layer protect critical CPS function and sensitive data. This layered approach ensures comprehensive protection. Now we will discuss about the anomaly detection system, which is next slide. Anomaly detection system. A key part of our framework is a behavior-based anomaly detection system. It learns normal CPS behavior and identifies deviations using machine learning techniques. Both known and unknown threats can be detected through real-time monitoring, allowing faster response and damage reduction. This enables proactive and intelligence CPS security. And the next one is last is my slide conclusion and future work. What is the future consequences which we have to take to conclude this situation, to conclude the CPS, why CPS is essential? To conclude, cyber physical system are essential. They face unique security challenges also. By understanding attack vectors and implementing a multi-layered framework with anomaly detection, CPS security can be significantly improved. Thank you. Sir, I have seen, मतलब, can I speak in Hindi too? सर सीपीएस जो है वैसे जो बेसिकली काम करता है वो ऑटोमेशन में ही काम कर रहा है, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया इसमें प्रीवियस में। तो जो अभी काम कर रहा है ऑटोमेशन कहीं ना कहीं अटैक ऐसे कर रहा है कि सिक्योरिटी चैलेंजेस ये आ रहे हैं इन इंडिया में। जैसे जो कार्स हैं, जो ऑटोमेशन कार्स जो इंडिया में अभी शायद नहीं इंट्रोड्यूस हुई है, लेकिन आउट ऑफ इंडिया इंट्रोड्यूस हो गई है। लेकिन अगर इंडिया में इंट्रोड्यूस ये अगर हो भी जाती है तो इसका एक मैं डिसएडवांटेज ये कहूंगा कि इसमें एक्सीडेंटल चांसेस बहुत हैं, बिकॉज जो एक मैनुअल जो हम एक ड्राइवर जो ड्राइव कर सकता है कार, वो फिर भी मशीन नहीं कर पाती इतना। हम मशीनों पे डिपेंड नहीं हो सकते हैं। सो ये मुझे एक डिसएडवांटेज लगता है सीपीएस का, चैलेंज लगता है। थैंक यू सो मच।
एक बात आप ये कैसे कह सकते हैं कि ड्राइवर
नो मैम, कंपैरिजन नहीं कर रहा कि बेटर देन है। मैम मैं कंपैरिजन नहीं कर रहा जैसे yeah I have to compare, yes, but yes ma'am, I have to compare with the manual and also automation with this टेक्नोलॉजी। बट मैम इसमें चांसेस ये हैं कि हम पूरा डिपेंडेंट, जैसे अभी आपने एआई के बारे में भी हमें बताया, आपने बताया कि हमें फुल डिपेंडेंट नहीं होना चाहिए एआई मशीन्स वगैरह पे। तो एक तरीके से जो ऑटोमेशन कार्स हैं या ऑटोमेशन जितने भी चीजें हैं, ये भी एक तरीके की मशीन्स ही हो गई। तो अगर हम इसमें टोटली डिपेंडेंट हो जाएंगे तो इट कुड बी वल्नरेबल, आई थिंक।
what I feel is uh, with machine learning and advanced systems, जजमेंट का फ्लॉ नहीं होगा, इश्यूज एथिक्स के आएंगे। एथिक्स के इश्यूज किस तरीके से आएंगे कि अगर आपके सामने बच्चा है और आपकी गाड़ी में 10 लोग बैठे हुए हैं, बच्चा है तो विल यू टर्न दिस गाड़ी सामने, हाउ विल यू डू इट? सो जो ह्यूमन, देयर बी अ लॉट ऑफ एथिकल इश्यूज ऑन दैट। सो थोड़ा सा इसमें पढ़िए, देयर इज अ वेरी गुड लेक्चर by a Harvard law professor on ethics, which is available online.
Yes.
You must listen to that lecture, and all of you also. It's an extremely interesting lecture, and it talks about ethics.
Sure.
ठीक है ना?
Yes,
And
ma'am,
then
I
there are
will
a lot of
definitely-
ethical issues जो आपने cover नहीं। ठीक।
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Jain, for the presentation. I now invite Ms. Rosie Lima, PW, Research Scholar, School of Pedagogical Sciences, MG University, Kottayam, to present paper titled Bridging the Gap: How Information Literacy Shapes Digital Fluency and Remote Work Skills.
Good morning to all. I'm Cicero C. Lima, business scholar from School of Pedagogical Science, MG University, Kottayam, Kerala. My co-author is Dr. Sibu Jinetto, Professor, School of Pedagogical Science, MG University, Kottayam. My topic on bridging the gap: how information literacy shapes digital fluency and remote work skills. In this digital age, as a remote work becomes a permanent part of how we live and work, it's not enough to just know how to use digital tools. People need to know how to find, evaluate, and use information effectively and ethically. This paper explores how information literacy, the ability to think critically about information, plays a key role in building digital fluency and confidence in remote work settings. Information literacy is not just an academic skill, it's a practical one that directly impacts performance and adaptability in the digital workspace. Remote and hybrid work are now part of everyday life. Being comfortable with technology is essential. Real success comes from digital fluency. It improves confidence, adaptability, and smart use of information. Information literacy and digital fluency. At the core of digital fluency is information literacy. It involves finding accurate information, judging its reliability, and using it effectively and ethically. These skills are vital in remote work, where teachers rely heavily on digital resources. Many remote work challenges, such as information overload and misinterpretation, this can be reduced through stronger information literacy. Developing these skills help individuals become more digitally fluent and better prepared for the future of work in all areas of life. Objectives: to understand how information literacy helps teachers work more confidently in remote and hybrid settings. To explore how it supports everyday remote work skills, such as using digital tools, solving problems independently, and communicating clearly online. To see how different levels of information literacy affect teachers' ability to adapt to new technologies. To hear from remote workers about how information literacy shapes their daily work and decisions. To suggest practical ways educators and employees can build information literacy into digital skills training for the future of work. Methodology: the study uses quantitative approach. It looks at how information literacy shapes digital fluency and remote work skills. The focus is on understanding how strongly information literacy predicts these abilities. 300 student teachers working remotely or in hybrid settings took part. All participants regularly use digital tools in their academic work. Basic background details were collected to better understand the group. Data collection tools we used on online questionnaire to gather data. It had three main parts: information literacy scale, digital fluency scale, remote work skill scale. Table 1 explains this table provides an overview of how student teachers self-assess each skill. The average are quite high, suggesting that more participants felt lately confident in their information literacy, digital fluency, and ability to work remotely. Table 2. This table shows the close relationship between the three skills areas. All relationships are positive and satisfactorily significant, meaning that teacher education students with their highest scores in information literacy also tended to perform better in digital fluency and remote work skills. Table 3, here we see the extent to which information literacy alone can explain or predict the other two skills. It explains 46% of variation in digital fluency and 35% of the variation in remote work skills. These are significant effects suggesting that improving information literacy could make a real difference in preparing student teachers for digital and remote teaching. Key findings. The role of information literacy in teacher preparedness, essential skill. It's an essential skill. Managing and evaluating information is critical for modern classrooms and workplaces. It is digital fluency, strong link between information literacy and confidence in using digital tools. Remote work skills, ability to find, evaluate, and apply information. Teacher training implication. Current program focus on ICT, but deeper information management skills are often overlooked. Integration of information literacy could enhance digital readiness and job preparedness for student teachers. Study limitations. Self-reported data may reflect confidence, not actual skill. Small context-specific sample, limited generalizability. Cross-sectional design cannot confirm possession. Future research. Investigate whether targeted information literacy training improves digital and remote skills over time. Incorporate practical assessments or interviews to observe real-world application. It's more than a support skill. Student teacher can find, evaluate, and use information, feel more confident with the digital tools and remote works, bringing it into everyday learning. Instead of occasional library lessons, weave information literacy into all subjects and modules. It becomes a natural part of how teachers work. Connect it with digital skills. Learning tech tool is important, but pairing them with the critical thinking exercise helps teachers use technology thoughtfully, not just technically. Skills that go beyond the classroom. Adaptability is skill. Hybrid and remote classrooms are here to stay. Teachers who are information literate can navigate them with ease. It's a life skill, not just job skills. These abilities don't just help in teaching, they set the stage for lifelong learning, career flexibility, and leadership in a digital world. A smart investment. Teaching these skills now gives future educators confidence, independence, and the ability to thrive in any environment. A teacher at laptop branching into multiple future skills like leadership, digital fluency, and lifelong learning. Conclusion, information literacy, the foundation for future teachers. More than finding information, student teachers who are strong in information literacy feel confident using digital tools and managing information remote work. Supports key skills, critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, and independent learning all grow from good information skills. Prepares for modern teaching with online and hybrid classrooms becoming the norm. Information literacy gives teachers the confidence to navigate any digital challenges. Essential, not optional. Building these skills early in teacher training sets educators up for success today and in the future. Looking ahead, explore targeted training programs and test whether these benefits extend beyond teaching to other fields. Thank you. Thank you.
What has been your greatest learning from by training skills?
I have to develop a program with the curriculum for the information literacy linked with the digital fluency and remote work skills. Yes. I am trying, but it is accepted by the university. Yes.
It is very difficult. We are working both peers, we are working with university systems. It becomes very difficult to develop a program. What better thing would be? What better thing would be develop a workshop that it can implement very easily. Okay. So you develop a workshop module of 1 day workshop or a 2 day workshop module and have your people core resource persons for this. And then develop a module, and this is going to give it's a good work, and this is going to take you very further. Okay. So begin by developing a workshop module. Okay, thank you. Good work.
Thank you, ma'am, for the presentation. I now invite Dr. Misha Dutt, Assistant Professor, DSPSR, to kindly present paper titled Carbon Emissions and Their Influence on India's Health Profile, an Empirical Analysis, in co-authorship with Ms. Priya Jindal, student, DSPSR.
Very good morning to our esteemed faculty members, honorable guests, and my dear friends. My name is Priya Jindal, student of DSPSR, and today I am presenting a research paper with co-authorship with Dr. Nisha Dutt ma'am, assistant professor at DSPSR. The title of our research paper is Carbon Emissions and Their Influence on India's Health Profile. So, through this study, we try to understand how increasing carbon emission affects health and healthcare costs in India. So, if we see in our second slide, these are some of the outlines of the presentation. First, I will talk about the environmental situations in India. Then I will explain our research objectives and data. After that, I will briefly discuss the methods used. And after that, I will present the key findings, and finally, I can conclude with policy suggestions. So, my third slide, which is about the environmental crisis facing in India. India has experienced the economic growth, especially after 1991 liberalization. Industries, vehicles, and energy use and modern agriculture have increased rapidly. While this helped economic development, it also caused a rise in carbon emissions and pollution. Carbon emission affects not only the environment but also human health. According to global estimates, over 3.6 billion people are at risk and live in climate risk areas. And climate-related deaths are expected to increase by 250K by 2050. So, environment pollution is not just an environmental issue, it is also a health and economic issue. In simple words, if we understand this, जो pollution हम आज create करते हैं, उसका impact हम future में health के through pay करते हैं. So, these are some of our research objectives, which we found out from this study. This study has 5 main objectives. First, to study how carbon emission affects health expenditure, fertility rate, and life expectancy and death rate. So, second, to understand the impacts on maternal and child health, especially live births. Third, to analyze how pollution increases healthcare spendings. And fourth, to observe trends in mortality and life expectancy. And finally, to use the statistical methods to check whether these relationships are strong and reliable. Some of our data resources and methodologies used by us are to analyze this data. We have used certain things, certain models and methodologies, which are random walk model, and in which we have done Dickey-Fuller test and Angel-Granger test, bivariate regressions, and these methods help us check whether the relationship between carbon emission and health indicators is genuine and not random. In simple words, we use these tools to make sure that our results are trustworthy. So, what was the impact of these research? We finally understood that the regression model examined carbon emission as the independent variable against 5 dependent health indicators, controlling for time trends and random errors. If we see the stationarity analysis results, the key finding we have got from this is that life expectancy showed non-rational stationary behavior across all model versions, while necessitating additional co-integration testing through the Angel-Granger approach to validate regression results. If we see the its impact on health expenditure.
From this is that
One of the most important findings of our study is related to health expenditure. The result shows that when carbon emission increases, health spending also increases sharply. This means pollution leads to higher spending on hospitals, medicines, and treatment. The relationship is very strong, which shows the environment. Pollution puts a heavy financial burden on the healthcare system. In simple terms, if we say pollution makes healthcare expensive. So now, if we check this impact, its impact on maternal and child health outcomes, we will see that the study also shows that carbon emission have a negative impact on maternal and child health care. With rising emission, live birth rates and fertility rates decreases. This indicates that pollution affects women and children more severely. Although other factors like nutrition and medical facilities are important, pollution also acts as a hidden risk factor. So this is a serious concern for future population health. If we now talk about the life expectancy paradox, an interesting result is that life expectancy seems to increase along with emission, which is contradictory to our research. But this does not mean pollution improves health, but it happens because medical technology, healthcare facilities, and income levels have also improved during this period. So life expectancy is influenced by both positive and negative forces at the same time. Now, if we go through our policy recommendations, which will be which are being based on our findings, which we suggest are better coordination between environment and health policies, and strengthening healthcare infrastructure, promoting cleaner and sustainable farming and industrial practices, encouraging individuals to adopt healthier and eco-friendly lifestyles. Preventing pollution is often cheaper and better than treating diseases later. So these are some of my references from where I took the paper and research did. And thank you so much. To conclude this study, carbon emission significantly affects health expenditure and maternal and child health in India. Although life expectancy has improved due to medical progress, pollution continues to pose serious health risks. So therefore, sustainable development requires a balance between economic growth, environmental protection, and public health. I sincerely thank Dr. Nisha Dutt ma'am for her guidance, and thanking the organizations and the panel members for this opportunity. Thank you so much. There are any questions? Thank you.
People should ask something from the audience. All the students who participate in the lecture like is a place. Like basically, we should ask.
As a mind, yes.
All the students of DSPS are very brilliant.
Thank you.
I have seen in the last year and still today you're participating in a very active role. Can you suggest a few steps which is taken by the government?
Sir, yes, sir, sure. So we can take various steps, as you said, by government. So carbon emission is a very important, you can say, very big problem or issue, and it does not only affect our health, but it also affects our expenditure, total on expenditure, and especially maternal health and childbirth fertility rates. So what government can do is that the government can bring certain policies which can do the less pollution, pollution-less things like where the waste should be less, whether it is of water, air, or land, because pollution plays a very, very vital role in carbon emission. So what government can do is they can try to reduce the pollution, which is the major part in India, as because India is a very overpopulated country. So pollution is also increasing day by day. It's not decreasing. So they should bring some certain policies which can help us to reduce the pollution, which will eventually reduce the carbon emission and will affect various sectors. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Priya, for the presentation. I now invite Professor Dr. Mahesh Sharma, Professor and Director, DSPSR, to kindly present paper titled Workplace Gaslighting and Manipulation, Understanding Impact and Solution, in co-authorship with Ms. Ishita Kashyap and Ms. Yukta, student DSPSR.
Good morning, respected dignitaries, faculty members, fellow researchers, and my peers. Good morning, all of you present here. I am Yukta, a BBA student of DSPSR, and today presenting my research paper on workplace gaslighting and manipulation, a topic that is often experienced silently but yet deeply impacts individual and organizations. So, this research explores how gaslighting and manipulation operate within professional environment, their psychological and organization consequences, and the strategies needed to address them effectively. So, what is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where an individual is made to doubt their memory, perception, and judgment. In workplace, this often sounds like you are overthinking it. That never happened. I never said that. Or you are being too sensitive. And with the overtime, the victim begins to question themselves, not the system. So to understand why this topic matters, let's begin with the reality of today's workplaces. So why this matters? In today's fast-paced, high-pressure workplace, productivity is often prioritized over psychological safety. However, toxic behavior like gaslighting don't just affect performance, they affect a person's sense of reality. And because of which, many employees doesn't quit jobs, they quit how they were made to feel. That's why research focuses on making invisible visible. Methodology. This study follows a qualitative research approach using a fictional yet realistic organization case study. The organization and characteristics are composite representations and created to reflect patterns documented in existing literature and real workplace experiences. So there is it's a company in Cobb, and it's a fictional company, and all the characters in it are all are fictional. And why I choose this method? Because this allows us to examine behaviors that are subtle, informal, and often undocumented. So in Cobb, Innovate Corp.
was once a collaborative and innovative organization. Basically, it's a employee-friendly organization who thinks firstly about the employees. But however, leadership change reduces pressure, insecurity, and weak accountability, creating fertile ground for toxic behavior. So gaslighting doesn't enter strong cultures; it enters ungrounded ones. The key characters in Innovate Corp company are first is Garima, a capable manager, a skilled, dedicated, and respected manager who is working since 5 years in innovative Corp company, um, who is targeted by his newly hired supervisor Dinesh. Dinesh is an insecure leader misusing authorities, undermines Garima's shifts expectation, invalidations, and her work. And Rahul. Rahul is a senior colleague, seeks personal gains, withholds information, steals credit of other colleagues, and spread doubts. And Part, a newly joined junior employee who is new and eager to learn, becomes confused, stressed, and disengaged because of the gaslighting and manipulation. Gaslighting example. So Dinesh repeatedly denied instruction he had given publicly, questioned Garima's competency, and changed expectations without acknowledgement. This wasn't aggressive leadership, this was psychological destabilization. Garima doesn't just lose confidence. She began documenting conversation to protect her own reality. And peer manipulation. Example, Rahul used triangulation, credit appropriation, and strategic helplessness to advance his position. He created confusion by spreading selective information between colleagues. And because of which team disrupt and division increased, emotional burnout among colleagues. So basically, manipulation thrives when accountability is unclear. Human impacts. These psychological consequences were severe. Anxiety, self-doubt, emotional exhausting, low confidence. So as we can see in Innovate Corp example, Garima's confidence collapsed, becomes isolated, doubted her own judgment, and Part withdraw emotionally and afraid to participate or take initiative. So gaslighting doesn't break people loudly, it breaks them slowly. Organization impacts. The organization also paid price. Team trust collapse, collaboration reduces, innovation decline. As in Innovate Corp example, confusion and manipulation cause inefficiency, shifting expectations lead to project delays and error. So when organization ignore emotional harm, performance eventually follows. Why it goes unchecked? One of the most critical findings is that gaslighting often goes unaddressed because it's subtle and lacks of documentation. It's the biggest limitation of gaslighting that it's lacks of documentation. And HR intervention was surface level, focuses on stress management instead of behavioral accountability.
and individual strategies. At an individual level, survival depends on awareness and boundaries. Do documentation, quietly recording facts so your reality stays intact. Do external validation, checking your understanding with trustworthy people. Do preparedness, be mentally and financially and professionally ready to leave if needed. And organization solutions are real solutions must be systematic, like zero tolerance policies, environments, reporting, leadership accountability, and psychological safety. Culture is defined by what behavior is allowed, not what is written. Conclusion and call to action. Workplace gaslighting is not a personality issue, it is a structure failure. So, rooted in power imbalance, silence, and weak safeguards, not just interpersonal misunderstanding. So, healthy workplace protects truth, dignity, and trust, not just targets and timelines. Thank you so much.
Anyone would like to ask? This time, at least anyone should ask something. This is very basic topic, gaslighting. And as if when you all will go in the market in the future for any job or any profession, you will face the same type of problem. Even you will face the same type of problem in your education institution. How to cope up with that? तो समस्या का सामना कैसे करना है? गैस लाइटिंग सिचुएशन पे रिस्पॉन्ड कैसे करना है और अपनी कामनेस और पीस को कैसे मेंटेन करना है बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। देखिए शिक्षा का मतलब बस एक ही चीज बोलूंगा, एजुकेशन डज नॉट मीन टू गेट अ डिग्री ऑफ एनी यूनिवर्सिटी, इट मींस यू हैव टू बी, योर पर्सनालिटी शुड बी डेवलप्ड इन एवरी एस्पेक्ट्स, फिजिकल, इमोशनल, इंटेलिजेंट स्किल, हर चीज में आपको पूरा होना पड़ेगा। तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक है। इशिता
युक्ता
युक्ता युक्ता इशिता कश्यप is another one. Ishita, what Yukta? I have written Ishita, that's why I'm calling her Ishita.
Okay.
Yukta, what type of students should initiate? They will be trapped in the same type of situation in their university or in their college. What they have to cope up with. Because social media is another parameter जिससे unnecessary exertion आ रहा है। अगर students इस तरह की problem face हो तो क्या करना चाहिए? What they have to do to get out of this type of situation.
तो एक्सटर्नल वैलिडेशन लेनी चाहिए, जो आपका ट्रस्टवर्दी पीपल है उनसे डिस्कस करना चाहिए, जो भी आपको जानते हैं, एंड फिर ऐसे अपने टीचर से बात करना चाहिए और जो भी आगे अथॉरिटीज हैं और वहां तक ट्रस्टवर्दी पीपल। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you, Ms. Yukta, for the presentation. I now invite Mr. Anubhav Mishra, student DSPSR, to kindly present the paper titled Impact of Social Media Influencers on Student Decision-Making Ability in co-authorship with Ms. Prakriti Mishra.
Good morning, everyone. Myself. My topic is impact of social media influencers on students' decision-making ability. So, of course, as we know that we all are currently covered with social media around us, like a lot of our time, like 1/3 of our day is we spend on social media, watching social media influencers for various reasons. It could be for different reasons, entertainment, or maybe for some topic, etc. But like as we spend so much time, it is also necessary to look that whether our daily life decision making is also impacted by it or not in various cases. So one of the reasons I have picked this topic because I also find myself that my decision making is also affected by social media influencers on many cases. So I just wanted to check whether my classmates are also facing the same problem or not. So my objectives of the research are, first of all, to find out what is the watch time of a normal student for averagely, and second one is like what kind of student choices are affected by social media influencers, such as buying products, trying courses, and last one is to see whether it affects the clarity also while making any kind of a decision. The research methodology is simple. It is on the primary data that I've collected by the structured questionnaire. The sample size is 110 students, including my classmates also from BBA third year. So the first one, sir, as you can see, the age is typically 18 to 22. There are few of them, my friends who were like older than 22, so they are on there. And as you can see, the watch time of per day. So the majority of them is 50% of them are spending for almost 5 to 8 hours, and more for 10-11%. So it is a very major thing to notice at first. The second one is what kind of influence the students think that are affecting their daily choices. So many of them have agreed that if the influence is moderate to very high, it is around 70%, and rest believe that they have very low influence or no influence at all. The main reason the students follow the social media influencers are majorly 40% are for entertainment and 30% are for knowledge and learning, which I think we all can agree, because students, one of the main reasons of watching social media could be for knowledge also. And another one is what kind of influencers content they watch the most. And as you can see, skill learning is top at 35%, and then the motivation, and then the rest, like product reviews and all. And of decision, the decisions are impacted by social media influencers. So like buying lifestyle, etc. So yes, and sometimes it is like 70% of them have believed that yes, their decisions have been impacted by social media influencers. And what kind of decisions the influencers are affecting? The majorly are trying new courses or skill, and after that, like about 19%, it is the different opinions that they think that their opinions are also being influenced by social media influencers. And this was the one, like they trust the influencers or not? So they like it is one of the most diverse one, as you can see also. Like the trust is moderate for 31%, but high also for like about 30% also, and the rest are like don't trust at all or like very low trust. And one of the most important one, have they ever purchased something because of a social media influencer recommended? So as you can see, there are 42% who have purchased it, and 31% like they were not sure, but because they are like might be or might be not. And one of the most important thing also, like did they feel pressure about it? So sometimes and never. It is like one of the most balanced one. People think that they never been influenced by it, but also 30% of the students thought that they might be influenced, might feel pressured by it. And like did they ever caused confusion? So 60% of they thought that they never they did face the confusion, and while 41% thought that they weren't confused while making any decision. And what were the positive ways that it helped the social media influencers helped them is of course 44% for the better knowledge about any kind of a product or any kind of a topic, and for motivation 30%, and etc. And one of and like one of my question was do you want to reduce your dependency on social media influencers? So 60% of them have feel that yes, we should reduce our dependency on social media influencers. And one of some of the findings are Of course, the age group are majorly from 18 to 22 years old, and the large proportion of students thought that the trust is moderate to high. And of course, students follow the social media influencers for motivation, learning skills, and entertainment. Decision making also affected in areas like trying new courses, forming habits, etc. And the trust level is moderate for these students in influencers. And they also felt pressure. The pressure was low, but the confusion was high for students. And despite some of the like talking about some of the major positives about the social media influencers, they did feel that their clarity must come first while following the social media influencers. The conclusion is as much as anybody else's life, my life is also being kind of depends on social media influencers for many kind of things, which is of course again for skills and all. But yes, if we can think of if we can develop our own opinions about some things, or we can check whether the information that we are having from the social media influencers or not, whether these are true or not, or analyze them from the different resources, then it could also be beneficial for us, because having our own opinion is always better than following someone else's. And some of my suggestions, it could be if that we start using social media for like almost 4 hours or maybe low if possible, which might not be. And educational students can also conduct awareness programs like digital literacy, etc. And yes, we can also diversify our information sources, like we can also check from Google and all, and etc. And yes, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you, Mohammed. Your paper is very interesting. You were enough confident in the presentation. That's good. Anyone would like to ask any question on social media? Please.
Uh, 110 students. It could be because everyone has their own mindset while answering some questions, or every own opinions about some things. And the if I talk about my classmates, there were like 70% of them are my classmates. And because I'm in the first section, so it is for that only. And other than the rest of them were like for about 50 of them, they were from my different sources, you can say, from different colleges. I'm the secretary of my one of my social service group, Rotary Club, so I'm the secretary of that. So because of that connection also, I was able to have some other opinions also. So yes, different people, different opinions, so it can happen. Like, this is my perspective. It could be generalized, but I'm not so sure. Yeah, no problem.
Now we have another session at 11:30. If you allow me, then we shall continue. We have to take. We have to take some break, or we shall continue with another session. I think we should continue. If you don't have any problem, we shall continue for another 5 or 6 speakers. Now you will call another one for the next session. Miss Kate.
Please. I now invite Ms. Preeti Sethi, student, Deen Dayal Upadhyay College, to present paper titled "The Role of Emotional Intelligence in Enhancing Academic Self-Efficacy Among University Students: A Systematic Literature Review."
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir.
and to all the students and research scholars over here. So today, my name is Kriti Sethi. I am from Deen Dayal Upadhyay College, University of Delhi, and my research topic is role of emotional intelligence in enhancing academic self-efficacy among university students. It is a systematic literature review, and I'm hoping by examining this paper, I can show a relationship between the emotional skills or the influence of emotional skills of a person, of a student, on their academic skills, on their academic performance, their academic performance, persistence, and confidence. I will briefly outline the background, methodology, key findings, and future directions emerging from the review. So higher education today is no longer defined by just your intellect or just your IQ. University students must navigate on environment that places them in academic, emotional, and social demands on them simultaneously. Alongside this, the experience emotional pressures such as stress, anxiety, fear of failure, while also managing social integration in new academic environments. While traditional perspectives link academic success mainly to IQ or your knowledge on a topic, research increasingly shows that emotional and psychological resources, that is your regulation of emotions, your awareness of your emotions, they play a crucial role in how students cope, persist, and succeed. This shift has led researchers to examine emotional intelligence and academic self-efficacy as a contributor of your academic performance. So, giving a brief about these non-cognitive factors, firstly, what is emotional intelligence? It's the ability to perceive, understand, regulate emotions of oneself and of others, grounded in the ability model by Mayer and Salovey, and in the Goldman's mixed model. These were the models used to explain emotional intelligence in most of the studies that I have reviewed. The second, uh, the second aspect, that is academic self-efficacy. This refers to a student's belief in their own abilities to successfully achieve academic goals. Grounded in Bandeller's cognitive theory, it develops through mastery experience, social modeling, verbal encouragement, and emotional states. So together, these constructs explain how students manage emotions while managing confidence in their academic abilities. So the aim and objective of the study was to examine the role of emotional intelligence in influencing academic self-efficacy among university students through a systematic review of existing literature. So specifically, the study is sought to review the empirical research conducted in higher education, analyze the relationship between emotional intelligence and academic self-efficacy, synthesize the key findings related to academic confidence and persistence, and identify gaps and limitations to guide the future research. The methodology for my systematic literature review was guided by the PRISMA 2020 model. As you can see, as displayed on the screen, this diagram shows how the studies were first reviewed, include and what were the basis for inclusion. So a search across 4 major databases, Google Scholar, PubMed, Semantic Scholar, and ResearchGate, identified 295 studies related to emotional intelligence and academic self-efficacy. After removing duplicates, cleaning titles, abstracts, and few full-text reviews, many studies were excluded due to lack of focus on EI or academic self-efficacy, or because they were not exclusively limited to the university population, but rather on the outside, such as workplaces or medical or clinical experiments. So as a result, 31 studies met all inclusions and criteria and the criteria that were set and were included in the final synthesis. These studies form the evidence base for findings discussed in the following sections. So here's a view of the literature I've done till now. I've taken the 31 studies I have taken in. You can have a quick look at it. So the 31 studies included in this review reveal some important patterns. Firstly, majority of the students employed quantitative cross-sectional research designs relying on surveys and questionnaires to gather data. This approach allowed researchers to assess the relationship between emotional intelligence and academic self-efficacy across large student samples through its, though it also limits causal interpretation. Secondly, the samples were predominantly composed of undergraduate and postgraduate students. And as I mentioned, this is quite critical to our study as it's focused on university students. So any of the medical or nursing experiments, or clinical experiments, or workplace or career-related studies were removed. Thirdly, there was a clear regional focus on Asian higher education systems, including countries such as Malaysia, Pakistan, China, Bangladesh, Thailand, and Nepal. And few studies were conducted in Western countries as well, such as Romania, Turkey, Ecuador, and Venezuela. Finally, majority of the studies relied on self-report instruments, measures, for both emotional intelligence and academic self-efficacy. While these tools are widely used, there is potential concerns about response bias and accuracy of reported skills or confidence level. So overall, this overview highlights that while there is consistent empirical intention on EI and academic self-efficacy in higher education, the research is mostly quantitative, regionally concentrated in Asia, and reliant on self-reported measures, which are important considerations when interpreting the findings. The key findings, or the you can say the results of the systematic review, point to several clear patterns. To begin with, emotional intelligence shows a clear and strong, consistent positive association with academic self-efficacy across different higher education contexts, indicating that emotionally skilled students tend to feel more confident in their academic abilities and therefore perform better. Beyond confidence, emotional intelligence also supports important academic behaviors. Students who can understand and regulate their emotions are motivated, remain engaged with their studies, and are better able to persist with the academic challenges they face. The review further suggests that academic self-efficacy often plays a mediating role, meaning the emotional intelligence influences academic outcomes largely by strengthening the students' belief in their own academic capacity to succeed. When comparing theoretical approaches, studies grounded in Mayer and Salo-based ability-based model and emotional intelligence demonstrate slightly stronger predictive relationship than those used while measuring through Goldman's mixed model. So emphasizing the role of core emotional abilities. And finally, emotional intelligence emerges as a central mechanism linking emotional intelligence to academic self-efficacy, highlighting its importance in helping students manage academic demands and sustain confidence. So the review also highlights some research gaps and limitations in the existing literature. Firstly, in terms of the research design, we can clearly see that there were mostly cross-sectional studies and very few longitudinal studies. In fact, in some of the studies, such as in Jual and others, there was a call for longitudinal studies as causal impact can't be studied, and it was mentioned that there is a requirement for future studies to be longitudinal, so we can study on the long-term impact and over time effect of emotional intelligence on academic self-efficacy. That is, that if there are any changes coming, or if you're doing it at a certain point of time, it remains the same, or it's the same over a long time as well. The second was there is a heavy reliance on self-report instruments to measure both EI and ASE. As I mentioned earlier, there can be responsive bias, and due to confidence or lack of skill, someone might rate themselves wrong on the scale. So these are quite subjective. And thirdly, a significant gap exists in terms of geographic representation. Most of the studies, although they were predominantly Asian perspective, still there was only one study in India, and most of the studies are on private institutions. So one of the major gaps that can be covered is doing it in India, and that too in public university that have students from diverse backgrounds. So that way we can maybe come up with some data that can be actually generalized and used later on. And finally, another research gap or limitation was that the finding related to demographic variables, such as based on gender and academic program are often inconsistent. While most studies reported positive findings. Joel and others again, they reported that there was null results in certain contexts, highlighting that the EI and ASC relationship may not be universally consistent and require contextual examination. These mixed results suggest that the need for more nuanced and systematic analysis to better understand how demographic factors interact with emotional intelligence and academic self-efficacy. So based on all the research gaps that we have seen in these studies that were already identified, what I'd like to add on are the future directions and recommendations. Firstly, again, as I mentioned, the research design needs to be improved. More emphasis on or more prioritization on the longitudinal and mixed method studies is required. Secondly, context expansion. Working on the expansion for bringing these studies to the Indian context, I myself am doing a research project on this. I will be studying the impact of emotional intelligence on academic self-efficacy among University of Delhi students. So those will be my population size for the postgraduate and undergraduate students. So I'm hoping we can come up with some data that can be used for doing intervention in the curriculum and maybe come up with new courses or change the curriculum or bring some training programs that can enhance the emotional intelligence or just improve the emotional awareness of the students as it has a direct impact on their academic performance. And lastly, based on the results I'll get from my study which I'm currently conducting, I'm hoping that it will be used under the National Education Policy 2020 to improve the current curriculum. So these were the conclusions that emotional intelligence does strengthen the academic confidence. There is a direct link. Academic self-efficacy is a driver for the student success. And lastly, emotional skills matter in higher education because this is the time if these topics are applied, these concepts are applied and we do learn from it, we'll definitely have it easier in the future in our career because we're already aware of such basic concepts that regulate our behavior. As in yesterday's sessions, as it was mentioned quite often, that we don't just have to work on the technical skills, but the soft skills as well in our behavior as well. So I believe emotional intelligence, or as EQ was mentioned yesterday, is one of the most important aspects of that. So ending it with IQ sets the potential, but EI shapes the belief to achieve it. IQ or your knowledge can only tell you what, but EI tells you how you can and how you have to be on that path. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. Your topic is very interesting. The role of emotional intelligence in enhancing academic students. You are in fourth year?
I'm in fourth year and then
you are doing some dissertation work on this.
Yes, sir. This is the topic I'm working on.
That's why I feel that you have did some study in a depth way. Yes. That's why I'm asking you are in fourth year. That's very good. That's very good. How many libraries you have visited in Delhi?
So I didn't actually visit any library as DU has provided us with access to multiple online platforms. Yeah. So the platforms I mentioned, Google Scholar, PubMed, then there were even more some ResearchGate, Semantic Scholar. We directly have access to these websites, so I could find all the papers on them itself, and I didn't have to do any hard labor physically. It was all on the net.
Have you taken any feedback personally from different students of you?
Not yet from students, yes, from my mentors and other departments. And in fact, we have our Viva on this as well. So I'm currently preparing for that. And I thought this was a good opportunity to get my feedback directly from experts in the field through this conference.
Your work will be very original, and I would suggest you to publish your paper in Papers Listed.
I'm hoping for that.
Something that's done. Or you may publish your paper as a chapter in a book.
Currently,
which is a mandatory condition in the output of a fourth year.
It was initially, but now publishing it is not a mandatory condition, but I'm still hoping to.
Just 2 days before we got a DU guidelines about the outcome fourth year presentation output. It become a mandatory condition. You have to either publish your paper, you have to present paper in any seminar as we did it, and or you have to publish any chapter, any book. That's good. Good luck. Your paper is very interesting.
Anyone else have any questions?
Anyone has any question? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kriti, for the presentation. I now invite Mr. Anubhav Mishra, student DSPSR, to present paper titled Green Marketing Challenges and Opportunities for Business in co-authorship with Dr. Hemkant Kulshrestha, Associate Professor, DSPSR.
Sir, before starting the presentation, I want to say that this whole research paper has been prepared by Ms. Tanya Singhal, and she's due to some unforeseen circumstances, she wasn't able to make it today. So I'm presenting on it. Good morning, everyone. Again, no, it's good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. And the topic is green marketing and the challenges and opportunities for business. So, what is green marketing? Green marketing is something that that the green marketing is are the products that are manufactured by through some green technologies that cause no environmental harass or that doesn't affect the environment as a whole. And why green marketing? So it could be for allocation of resources, sustainability, product modifications, etc. Used for the 3 Rs, which is reduce, use, and recycle. Green products and its characteristics. Products, of course, that are manufactured through green technology, like we won't use fertilizers or etc. Or we focus on organic farming, not in farming, but in many sectors of the society, that we don't use any kind of acid or etc. for our production in general. And what are some of the green products? So, which is originally grown, which has the applicability of 3R, which is can we reduce it, can we reuse it, and can we recycle it? And with natural ingredients, if we prepare it, and which is not tested on animals, eco-friendly packaging like in papers, etc. And then green marketing, it eliminates the concept of waste because we can recycle it. It also reinvent the concept of product. We can also reinvent products with using different techniques, and again bringing out product modifications. We can modify the product as per our needs, that can help us to achieve the green marketing that we want to have. And packaging changes, as I said, like using paper straws, etc. And some of the challenges are because it is a new concept. Because green marketing is not as popular as the old traditional technique, so it might be a little difficult at first to adopt it. But if we are patient and if we show perseverance, so it will be beneficial for us in long term. And what are some of the benefits of green marketing? Of course, it suggests the long-term growth. It saves a lot of money in the long run, and also take less time to recycle it. And of course, we can reuse it, so it is beneficial for us only. And what are some of the golden rules of green marketing? That first of all, we should know our customers. If we know our customers what they want, it is very easy for us to decide whether in which area we want to target on, or what products we should target that helps us in both achieving the green market and also getting the highest profit possible. And reassure the buyer. We have to assure the buyer that this technique, the green marketing, it is not going to affect their health in any kind of a thing. It is going to benefit their health, the society, the environment, everything as a whole. And of course, we have to educate our customers also. Okay, if we are opting this technique, so it is beneficial for you only, and it is also beneficial for us, but maximum for you. And green marketing, which can be adopted by the firms for the opportunities. And there are governmental pressures also, competitive pressures. If one company is using something, so you have to go for it to challenge that company in your way. And the cost of profit also, profit issues could come, like if you are maybe using plastic, it could be a little lower in price, but affecting the health, of course, nothing is bigger than health. And social responsibility also. The rankings, as you can see, India is on #1, which is very good for us. But we have to maintain this #1 in the long run to have the most better results, to be honest. and you can see the rankings here. The examples are, of course, the IT project, Green IT project of State Bank of India. Second one is Dell India. Third one is Guide to Greenery Electronics. This might be something that we can check whether it is how green it is, like how benefit it is for us or the society. And what are some of the present trends in the green marketing? Organizations are marketing this as an opportunity, which is very good, not as a threat. And government are also forcing the firms that they have been forced by the government, and they can also, like, because of the government they can try this new trend also. And yes, the future of the green marketing are consumer value positioning. We have to value our consumer first, and the calibration of consumer knowledge. We have to provide knowledge to our customers, and of course we have to maintain the credibility of the product that we are claiming. And the conclusion is that green marketing is a right choice as a whole for everyone, like for the society, for ourselves, for the customers, producers, everyone. Yes, it might be little. It might affect our profits at first, but in the long run, it would generate less profits for us. And yes, sir, thank you so much.
Any benchmarks about green marketing? Thank
Thank you, Anubhav. I now invite Ms. Yukta, student DSPSR, to present paper titled Student Perception and Satisfaction Towards NEP 2020, a study of undergraduate students in Delhi.
Good morning, respected panel members, teachers, and my fellow participants. I am Yukta, as you know, a student of DSPSR pursuing BBA, and today I will be presenting my research paper titled Student Perception and Satisfaction Towards NEP 2020, a study of undergraduate students of Delhi. This study aims to understand how undergraduate students perceive and experience the implementation of NEP 2020 in their colleges with a specific focus on satisfaction level. So this is the overview. First, introduction, need for the study, objectives of the study, research methodology, profile of respondents, awareness and understanding of NEP 2020, curriculum flexibility and course choices, faculty training and digital infrastructure, overall student satisfaction, key findings, and then conclusion and suggestions. So the introduction. This study aims to understand, the National Education Policy 2020 represent a major reform in India's education system. It focuses on flexibility, multidisciplinary learning, skill development, and student-centric education. Since students are the primary stakeholders of this policy, understanding their satisfaction is essential to evaluate whether the objectives of NEP 2020 are being effectively achieved or not. So this leads to need for conducting this study. Need for the study. Although NEP 2020 outlines ambitious reforms, its success depends on how it is implemented at the institution level. There are limited empirical studies especially on student satisfaction, and especially at the undergraduate level. The Delhi region, being a major hub of higher education institutions, provides a suitable context to examine these aspects. Based on this, the study was conducted with specific objectives. Now, the objectives of study. The primary objective of the study was to examine the level of student satisfaction with the implementation of NEP 2020. The study also aimed to assess student awareness of NEP 2020, their perceptions of curriculum flexibility, availability of courses choices, faculty preparedness, digital infrastructure, and overall satisfaction. And to achieve these objectives, a structured research methodology was adopted. Research methodology. The study follows a descriptive research design, both primary and secondary, where primary data were collected from 63 undergraduate students using a structured questionnaire, while secondary data were collected from policy documents, journals, and official minutes. The data were analyzed using percentage and graphical representation. Now I will briefly discuss the profile of the respondents. As you can see, this figure shows the course-wise distribution of respondents. The majority of respondents were from the BBA program, focuses by BCom and BTech students. This ensures representation from diverse academic background. Next, I will discuss student awareness of understanding of NEP 2020. So, awareness and understanding of NEP 2020. The findings indicate that most of students are aware of NEP 2020 and have a moderate to good understanding of reforms introduced. However, a section of students reported limited understanding, highlighting the need for better awareness initiatives by institutions. One of the core aspects of NEP 2020 is curriculum flexibility. Majority of students agreed that NEP 2020 had made the curriculum more flexible and student-friendly. Many colleges offer course choices. However, the availability of such flexibility varies across institutions, indicating partial implementation. Institutional readiness also depends on faculty and infrastructure. Student expressed mislead views regarding faculty preparedness and the digital infrastructure. While many believe that faculty members are sufficient and trained, and digital facilities express concern, suggesting the need for further improvement. Finally, I assess the overall student satisfaction with the NEP 2020. The results shows that the majority of students are either satisfied or very satisfied with the implementation of new education policy 2020. However, some students remain neutral or dissatisfied, indicating that although the policy has had a positive impact, challenges in implementation still exist. Based on this observation, key findings were derived. To summarize, new education policy 2020 has been positively received by undergraduate students. Curriculum flexibility and course choices emerged as major strengths, while faculty training, digital infrastructure, and clarity of implementation were identified as areas requiring improvement. I will now conclude my presentation. conclusion and suggestions. The study concludes the NEP 2020 has contributed positively to higher education in the Delhi region. However, consistent implementation, enhanced faculty training, improved digital infrastructure, and effective communication are essential to improve student satisfaction and fully achieve the objective of policy. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
your time and
Yukta.
attention.
You're also doing some project or dissertation work stuff? No? Okay. Yukta, can you highlight any demerit of NEP? Any loopholes in NEP? Which students are facing in different universities of India? Can you have to see any loophole, any which has to be corrected by the doctor, by the education ministry?
रेगुलेशन पे ध्यान देना चाहिए मतलब ऐसे सब कॉलेजेस ने इसको रेगुलेट नहीं किया है कॉलेजेस में कुछ ही कॉलेजेस में हुआ है कुछ अभी कुछ है बाकी जिसमें नहीं हुआ है तो
Delhi has have you seen any colleges doing their NEP has come? No, no. Thank you, thank you. Please help us next one. And I would like to request you all to please kindly pay attention to the speaker. Because when you are presenting something, you have to increase their confidence, you have to support them, you have to uplift them. Please, they are your friend, please try to encourage them instead of talking to each other or just. I know I can understand. Sometimes we have to see the messages in mobile, but continuously, please try to avoid to talk to each other. Please try to listen to the speaker. What he's saying, please.
I now request Ms. Akshita Sharma to kindly present paper titled Game Theory in Business and Trade Wars, a comprehensive analysis of recent US trade policy developments. Do we have Ms. Akshita Sharma with us?
Good afternoon, respected judges, faculty members, and fellow participants. I'm Akshita Sharma from Shri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce, University of Delhi, and today I'll be presenting my research title, Game Theory in Business and Trade Wars, a strategic analysis of recent US trade policy developments. Okay, so first, let's have a look at the introduction. So in economics, we teach that trade makes everyone better off. So my opening question is simple. If that is true, why are the world's three largest economies willingly making themselves poorer? So the death of multilateralism For over 70 years, global trade rested on a single belief: cooperation pays. From GATT to the WTO, nations accepted a rules-based system because trade was understood as a positive sum game. Everyone gains. But between 2020 and 2025, that belief quietly collapsed. Not through war, not through crisis alone, but through deliberate policy choice. So, from rules to power, this shift was not symbolic, it was legal, strategic, and systemic. National security statutes, particularly Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act and the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, were increasingly used to bypass WTO dispute mechanisms. Rules gave way to discretion, law gave way to power, and the numbers reveal the scale of this transformation. So in 2025 alone, the US average effective tariff rate jumped from a historic low of 2.2% to 22.5%, the highest level since the Smoot-Hawley Act of 1930. So why traditional economics fails? At this point, traditional economics asks the wrong question. It asks what happens to GDP if tariffs rise by 10%. But this assumes something deeply unrealistic, that the other nations will not react. Trade policy does not operate in a vacuum. It operates in a world of retaliation, anticipation, and strategic response. This is precisely where conventional macroeconomic models fail and where game theory becomes essential. So, from the game theoretical lens, game theory rejects the idea that trade policy is a one-time decision. Instead, it treats trade as a repeated strategic interaction between rational players. Each nation acts not only based on what it wants today, but on how it expects its rivals to respond tomorrow. And when we model the United States, China, and India through this lens, a clear structure emerges. They are locked in a prisoner's dilemma. So now let's take a look at research objectives. So first is to reassess optimal tariff theory by examining whether tariffs can remain welfare and enhancing once retaliation by trade partners is treated as inevitable rather than optional. And secondly, to analyze the macroeconomic impact of the 2025 trade war, focusing on its effects on global output and US GDP using empirical economic data. Third is to examine the India-US trade relationship as a strategic subgame, highlighting how asymmetric power influences trade strategy and outcomes. Fourth, to identify strategic responses for governments and firms operating in an increasingly fragmented and retaliatory global trade environment. Next, we have methodology to analyze trade wars as they actually unfold, not as textbooks imagine them. This study adopts a deliberately mixed methodology, mixed methods design. This research employs a mixed methods approach, integrating empirical economic data with formal game theoretic modeling. The objective is simple but demanding: to ensure that theoretical predictions remain anchored in observed economic outcomes. In other words, the model is not allowed to float above reality, it must answer to the data. The game structure: at the core of the analysis, the trade war is modeled as non-cooperative, repeated game. This structure is essential because trade conflict is not a one-off policy shock. It is an ongoing strategic interaction characterized by escalation, retaliation, and learning. So players, the model consists of three players: the United States, China, and India. Each represents a distinct strategic position within the global trading system: dominant power, systemic rival, and rising middle power. This allows the framework to capture both symmetry and asymmetry within the same game. So, strategic choices. Each player faces a binary strategic choice. They may cooperate by maintaining low or zero tariffs, or they may defect by imposing or escalating tariffs. Crucially, these choices are made with full awareness that rivals will respond. The payoff structure: payoffs are evaluated across three dimensions. First, GDP growth, capturing real economic output. Second, terms of trade. reflecting relative gains and losses. And third is domestic political capital, because trade policy is constrained not only by markets but by vote. So data sources to ground the model empirically, multiple authoritative data sources are used. Tariff actions are drawn from Global Trade Alert and the US International Trade Commission. Macroeconomic indicators are sourced from the IMF World Economic Outlook 2025 and the US Bureau of Economic Analysis. So bilateral trade flows are obtained from the US Census Bureau. This triangulation ensures robustness across both theory and evidence. So together, this methodology allows us to identify not just what trade wars caused, but why rational actors continue to choose them.
Control unit, please. Please keep silence, everyone.
So let's take a look at the analysis phase 1. So having established the structure of the game, I now turn to how this game was actually played in 2025. The 2025 escalation ladder. The year 2025 witnessed a rapid ascent of what game theorists call the escalation ladder. The United States moved decisively from targeted protectionism to systemic trade barriers. From cooperation to defection, at the start of 2025, the system rested in a low tariff cooperative equilibrium. The US average effective tariff rate stood at just 2.2%. In game theoretic terms, this reflected mutual restraint. But by April, the equilibrium collapsed. First mover defection. In early April, the United States executed a first mover defection. A proposed 34% tariff on China and 26% on India signaled an attempt at Stackelberg leadership, moving first to force rivals into disadvantageous responses. So changing the game itself. IEEPA baseline. So days later, the introduction of a 10% universal tariff under IEEPA fundamentally altered the structure of the game. So rather than choosing strategies within the rules, the US rewrote rules themselves. So this marks a shift from trade as an economic game to trade as a power instrument. So temporary ceasefire, not cooperation. By mid-2025, a temporary ceasefire emerged, but critically, this was not a return to cooperation. It was a negotiated Nash equilibrium, stable but inefficient. Late stage escalation, punishment, and brinkmanship. In the latter half of the year, trade policy emerged explicitly with geopolitics, targeted punishments, issue linkage, and brinkmanship replaced tariff optimization. Trade became conditional on political alignment. Game theoretic interpretation. From a strategic perspective, as you can see, three shifts are evident. So first, the US adopted punishment strategies rather than incentive-based cooperation. Second, the trade game transformed into a coordination and bargaining problem. And third, escalation reflected credibility and threat signaling, not welfare maximization. Now, as you can see, failure of optimal tariff theory. So why optimal tariffs failed? Optimal tariff theory rests on a critical assumption, minimal retaliation. So as you can see, that assumption failed immediately. Retaliation was swift, targeted, and strategic. So reaction function, like China did not simply mirror US tariffs, it matched them proportionally, but retaliated selectively. So when the US targeted consumer electronics, China targeted US agriculture sectors with high domestic political sensitivity. So what was the economic outcome? The intended burden never fell on foreign exporters. Instead, tariff costs were passed through almost entirely to US consumers. Empirical evidence shows that nearly 90% of the tariff incidence was borne domestically. So important prices rose almost 1-to-1 with tariff increases. The result was Nash equilibrium of mutual harm. Each move was individually rational, yet collectively the outcome was economically inefficient. So the trade war became a negative sum game, not because of miscalculation, but because rational strategies interacted under weak global enforcement. So 2025 did not expose the failure of rationality in trade policy, it exposed the failure of the system designed to contain it. Let's have a look at the next slide, analysis phase 2. So up to this point, I've treated the trade war as a single global game. But in reality, global trade conflicts do not operate as one uniform interaction. They decompose into multiple bilateral subgames. So they decompose into multiple bilateral subgames, each with its own structure, incentives, and equilibrium. Understanding these subgames is essential to understanding why countries respond so differently to the same shock. So why this is a prisoner's dilemma? In theory, both the US and China benefit most from mutual cooperation. Low tariffs maximize trade volumes, reduce costs, and raise welfare on both sides. So if one country cooperates while the other defects, the defector gains a significant short-term advantage. This creates a strong incentive to defect first. So as a result, both countries defect, not because they prefer conflict, but because they fear exploitation. So why the ceasefire is fragile? Because the partial tariff stabilization observed in 2025 does not represent cooperation. It represents a constrained equilibrium. Both sides maintain tariffs not out of trust, but out of fear of unilateral vulnerability, as we discussed before. So, sub-game 2, US and India. India's interaction with the United States follows a fundamentally different game structure. This is not a symmetric rivalry. Unlike China, India lacks the economic scale to impose equal retaliatory damage on the US. A pure tit for tat strategy would impose disproportionate costs on India itself. So India's mixed strategy, instead of full retaliation, India adopted a mixed strategy. This involves selective compliance, targeted negotiation, and strategic restraint. And sectoral selectivity, India absorbed tariff pressure in labor-intensive sectors such as textiles. At the same time, it is successfully negotiated protection for strategically critical sectors, particularly pharmaceuticals and electronics. So domestic shock absorption. Internally, India relied on production-linked incentive schemes to reduce the effective cost of tariffs for exporters. In game theoretic terms, India lowered the cost of endurance rather than raising the cost of retaliation. So systemic level strategy, the wedge effect, as you can see at the same level, the US pursued a deliberate wedge strategy. Tariffs were differentiated across partners, lower for allies, higher for rivals. So the consequences of this were that this strategy induced trade diversion rather than efficiency. Supply chains rerouted through geopolitically aligned economies. Countries such as Vietnam, Mexico, and the UK gained relative advantage. China faced the largest structural disadvantage. So next, have a look at the economic impact. Strategic interaction explains why trade wars persist, but economics tells us what they cause. So macroeconomic costs of protectionism. The shift toward a protectionist equilibrium imposed measurable global costs. For the first time in decades, trade policy, not monetary tightening, became a primary drag on growth. The IMF downgraded its 2026 global growth forecast from 3.1% to 2.7%. Crucially, the IMF identified policy uncertainty, not demand weakness, as the dominant factor. Tariffs functioned as a hidden tax on consumers. In the US, tariff pass-through added approximately 1 to 1.5 percentage points to PCE inflation. Contrary to political rhetoric, foreign exporters did not absorb these costs. So investment responded predictably, investment slowed down, business investment declined by 0.3% to the first quarter of 2025. Firms delayed capital expenditure, not because demand vanished, but because supply chain costs became unknowable. So supply chain fracturing, beyond macro indicators, the trade war permanently altered how firms organize production. The just-in-time model gave way to just-in-case. Cost minimization was replaced by risk minimization. Firms accepted higher operating costs in exchange for strategic resilience. So technology decoupling, trade conflict escalated into technological decoupling. The 2025 export restrictions on gallium and germanium marked a shift from tariffs to strategic choke points. The result was not dominance but disruption. Okay, so the central lesson of this research is simple. The optimal tariff assumption is dead, and the retaliation is immediate, targeted, and effective. So, in repeated games, the most successful strategy is neither appeasement nor permanent punishment. Defection must be punished immediately, but forgiveness must be equally fast. So, the shadow of the future must be lengthened, re-engaging with neutral arbiters, whether a reformed WTO or new democratic trade council reduces miscalculation and escalation. Emerging economies must not rely on benevolence. Export diversification toward the global south is not ideological, it is defensive. So, following Indonesia's nickel strategy, countries like India can leverage mica, rare earths, and pharmaceuticals to secure exemptions. And if tariffs raise costs by 20%, domestic reform must reduce costs by the same margin. The China plus two strategy, China plus one is no longer sufficient, and firms must build triple redundancy, and the supplier evaluation must extend beyond price and quality. So the evidence is clear: strategic sectors receive protection. Firms operating in medical defense and dual-use technologies should actively position themselves as national security critical. So finally, the conclusion, the central finding of this research is simple and unsettling. The 2025 trade war was not an accident. It was the predictable outcome of a global system in which the rules of cooperation were quietly dismantled. So it marked a transition from rule-based globalization to power-based trade. Tariffs delivered momentary leverage but locked all players into an equilibrium no one truly wanted. The trade war is evolving and it is doing so in phases. First 2018 to 2024, and then phase 2 would be 2025, and phase 3 is 2026 and beyond. So it's the next frontier is not tariffs, it is standards, export controls, and regulation. So we are witnessing the end of the flat world. The global economy is fragmenting into competing trade, technology, and regulatory stacks. As India, US demonstrates, survival no longer belongs to those who play by old rules. It belongs to those who understand the game and adapt. Thank you.
Akshita, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. I'd like to thank the chairperson to give me this opportunity. Well, very interesting study. I'm a professor of economics. I do teach game theory on regular basis, business dilemma and Nash equilibrium and so on. This part of observation here that how do you apply the concept of just kind of cooperation versus competition? How do you apply the concept of Nash equilibrium in this whole game between US, China, and India?
So basically, all the countries they know what they are doing is wrong by imposing tariffs, but they are not clear that if we don't do this thing, then other country might do so, and then they would have to face losses. So they are doing it to protect themselves, and that is the whole explanation of that.
It's fine. Indeed, this last comment, it's not a question that in the past few months, from May until November 2025, because of the tariff imposition by USA from 25% to 50%, the exports of India declined by 21%. That's what I'd like to add that point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much for your request. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Akshita. I now invite Ms. Rishima Sharma. to present paper titled Impact of Mandatory Corporate Social Responsibility under the Companies Act 2013. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, respected delegates, distinguished guests and fellow researchers. I am Rishma Sharma from Sri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce, University of Delhi. Today I will be presenting our research on the impact of a mandatory corporate social responsibility under the Companies Act 2013 on social development in India, based on a decade-long analysis from 2014 to 2024. India is currently the only major economy where corporate social responsibility is not merely encouraged but legally mandated. This makes India a unique global case study, and that is the core motivation behind this research. So to structure the discussion clearly, I will begin by setting the historical and legislative context of CSR in India, followed by a review of global and Indian literature. Then I will explain our research methodology, analyze CSR expenditure trends and sectoral allocations, assess social impact, highlight implementation challenges, and finally conclude with policy recommendation and future research directions. Corporate social responsibility in India has deep philosophical roots, particularly in Mahatma Gandhi's concept of trusteeship, which emphasized that wealth should ultimately serve society. However, until 2013, CSR in India largely remained voluntary and philanthropic in nature. With the introduction of Section 13(5) of the Companies Act 2013, CSR was transformed into a legal obligation for qualifying companies, mandating them to spend at least 2% of their average net profits on approved social activities. This marked a fundamental shift in governance philosophy. Social development was no longer seen as discretionary charity, but as a statutory responsibility of corporate India. India thus became the first country in the world to institutionalize CSR through binding legislation. Globally, CSR is conceptualized as a multi-dimensional framework addressing corporate accountability to stakeholders beyond shareholders. Most international models, particularly in Europe, rely on voluntary compliance driven by ESG norms and investor pressure. Existing literature suggests that while voluntary CSR allows flexibility and innovation, it often lacks scale and consistency. Mandatory frameworks, on the other hand, generate larger financial flows but risk creating compliance-oriented behavior. Prior studies in India, including Banerjee and Mukherjee 2013, confirmed that Section 13(5) significantly increased CSR spending, but implementation quality and impact remains uneven. Our research addresses this gap by synthesizing government data and academic evidence to assess whether mandatory CSR has translated into measurable social development outcomes. This study follows a descriptive and analytical research design covering the period from 2014 to 2024, the decade following the implementation of the Companies Act. We rely exclusively on secondary data sources, including the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, the National CSR Data Portal, government datasets such as the UDISE Plus and NFHS 5, corporate and annual reports, and peer-reviewed academic journals. Our objectives were fivefold: to analyze expenditure trends, sectoral allocation, social outcomes, implementation challenges, and finally to propose policy recommendations for improving CSR effectiveness. One of the most striking findings of this research is the unprecedented financial mobilization achieved through mandatory CSR. CSR spending increased from approximately 10,066 crore in 2014 to 34,909 crore in 2023 to 24, representing a growth of 246% over the decade with an inflation adjusted CAGR of nearly 15%. We observed three distinct phases. First, a stabilization phase from 2014 to 2017 as companies adjusted to the new law. Second, an acceleration phase from 2017 to 2023 with sustained growth. And third, a momentum phase in 2013 to 24, demonstrating a continued commitment despite economic pressures. This confirms that mandatory CSR has succeeded in scaling corporate participation in social development. In terms of compliance, approximately 80% of eligible companies consistently meet or exceed the mandated 2% CSR requirement. However, this headline figure masks important variation. Between 16 and 20% of companies remain non-compliant, and recent years show a decline in spending ratio, with FY 2023 to 24 recording the lowest ratio in 5 years. Additionally, the presence of unspent CSR funds suggests that while companies are willing to allocate budgets, execution capacity and project readiness remains constrained. CSR expenditure in India is heavily concentrated in a few sectors. In FY 2023 to 24, education and skill development accounted for 44% of total CSR spending, followed by healthcare and sanitation at 30%. Environmental sustainability, although the fastest growing segment, received only 12%, while rural development accounted for just 7%. This pattern reflects that corporate preference for sectors where outputs are visible and have a larger impact are relatively easier to measure. This raises important questions about whether CSR allocations reflect social need or corporate comfort. CSR investments in education have contributed significantly to human capital. Annually, an estimated 5 to 7 million students benefit from CSR-funded programs, including scholarships, digital classrooms, and vocational training. The secondary school dropout rate declined from 21 to 8.2%, while higher education gross enrollment increased from 25 to 27.3%. However, persistent challenges remain, and particularly in rural employability and skill relevance, indicating that access has improved faster than outcomes. In healthcare, CSR has contributed to improvements in maternal health, child mortality, and immunization coverage. CSR-funded health facilities account for 50 to 70 million patient visits annually. Environmental initiatives such as afforestation, renewable energy, microgrids, or circular economy projects demonstrate CSR's growing alignment with climate action. Our social return on investment analysis shows an overall SROI of 3.2 to 1, with education and healthcare generating the highest returns. One of the most critical challenges identified is regional imbalance. In FY 2023 to 24, nearly 60% of total CSR funds were concentrated in just 6 states, with Maharashtra alone accounting for 18%. In contrast, the Northeast received less than 2% of total CSR spending, despite representing 8% of India's population. This concentration undermines the equity principle of CSR and reflects a misinterpretation. So the challenges, the CSR implementation remains largely compliance driven. Companies prefer short-term, low-risk projects with visible outputs rather than long-term behavioral or institutional change. Additionally, limitations in CSR data transparency restrict independent assessment and accountability. To summarize our findings, mandatory CSR has successfully achieved scale, mobilizing 1.53 lakh crore rupees over a decade. However, distribution has been unequal, sectoral concentration persists, and impact measurements lags behind expenditure growth. Some policy recommendations. We recommend the district level allocation guidelines to address geographic imbalance, stronger mandatory impact assessment standards, longer project cycles, and closer alignment with government development programs.
For corporations, the shift must be from compliance to strategy, treating CSR as a long-term investment in social stability and stakeholder trust rather than a statutory burden. In conclusion, India's mandatory CSR framework has succeeded in mobilizing unprecedented corporate resources for social development. However, transforming financial inputs into sustainable outcomes require improved governance, equitable allocation, and rigorous impact measurement. The future of CSR India lies in evolving from compliance-driven spending to strategic, impact-oriented corporate citizenship. Thank you for your time and attention.
Krishna. Reshma, thank you for the thought-provoking presentation. Says, well, India is the first country in the world which enacted the law. 2% of the profit need to be contributed for the development of the communities. No country did to do it in Europe or US or anywhere, but we are the first in the world to. Now, given your presentation, still, despite it's an act and they need to comply with the regulations by law, but about 20% of the corporate sector is unable to comply. So, what kind of legal implications will be imposed on such kind of people, such kind of companies?
Maybe the legal implications should be more strict. For example, proper reporting, be it financially as well, and a strict maybe giving a minimum expenditure amount to the companies to ensure that okay, you at least expending this much of money, and that should be suitable for at least confirming that the corporations are being some action towards this issue.
Your statistics reveal that it is probably 19%, 20%, again 19%. So it's a bad logic for the past 4-5 years. It remains probably about 90-20% non-compliant. So what the government is doing is the government is initiated any kind of acts or actions against such kind of people.
Yes. So the government has mandated that the economic environmental initiatives should be mandated. So that is one thing that the Indian government has done now.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please call the next.
Thank you, Ms. Rishima. Now I invite Mr. Suryansh Bansal to present paper titled Government Initiatives and Policies on AI in Indian Education.
Good morning, respected delegates, guests, and fellow participants. I am pleased to present our paper titled Government Initiatives and Policies on AI in Indian Education, a National Education Policy 2020 Perspective. Artificial intelligence is increasingly shaping how societies lead, teach, and govern education systems. India, with one of the world's largest and most diverse education ecosystem, offer a particular important case for understanding how AI can be integrated at scale through the public policy. Despite multiple initiatives launches after NEP 2020 to promote AI-enabled education, there is a limited consolidated analysis of how these policies collectively function across school and higher education. The research addressed four key questions. How NEP 2020 capitalize AI, which government initiatives organize the vision, how these initiatives support access, equity, and quality, and what challenges and policies gaps remain. Methodologically, we adopt a qualitative descriptive analysis using policy documents, government reports, and academic literature. Globally, AI in education associated with personalized learning pathways, real-time formative assessment, early identification of at-risk students, and teacher augmentation. However, international experience also highlights serious risk, algorithms, bias, and lack of transparency, data privacy concerns, and over dependency of proprietary platforms. Best practice from global context emphasizes strong governance frameworks, ethic guidelines, and active teacher involved in AI design and deployments. The National Digital Education Architecture, or NDEAR, is the most structurally significant initiative in India's AI education ecosystem. NDAR function as national digital backbone, a supreme connector, enabling interoperability between platforms using open standards, APIs, federated data registries. Architecturally, NDAR is designed for deep AI integration, allowing analytic personalization and intelligent services to operate across multiple education platforms. SWAYM, SWAYM, and PM eVidya play a crucial role in expanding access. SWAYM supports blended and online learning with credit transfer aligned with NEP 2020's flexible goals. PM eVidya adopts a multi-modal strategy, television, radio, podcast, digital platform to reach students without reliable internet. While current AI integration is moderate, these platforms provide essential foundation for future AI scalability, especially for unreserved population. When comparing AI integration across platforms, NDAR ranks higher due to its architecture-first design. Diksha follows closely, supported by rich usage and content data. SWAYM and PM eVidya currently exhibit moderate AI integration, but their scale and reach make them strategically important for future expansion. Despite progress, significant challenges precise infrastructure gaps, digital divides, and uneven state level implementation limit reach. Ethic concern, particularly around data privacy, algorithm bias, and accountability, remain under address. Localization is another challenge, as AI tool must adapt to India's linguistic, culture, and pedagogical diversity. NEP 2020 envisions AI as enabling layer across education, but successful integration rests on three pillars: infrastructure, human capacity, and governance. Teacher empowerment emerges at the C factor. AI must augment, not replace educator without equity, access, and ethical safeguard. AI risk amplify existing inequality rather than reducing term. In the last conclusion, AI integration in India education represent a strategic opportunity to address long-standing challenges of scale, quality, and equality. Government initiative have created a strong foundation. However, infrastructure, readiness, teacher empowerment, and governance framework are critical prerequisites. With the deliberate policy choices and sustained investment, AI can evolve from an experimental add-on to responsible and integrated enable of NEP 2020 vision. Thank you.
सर मेरे को बस लिंक्डइन पे डाल दिया अपनी प्रोफाइल पे तो 1 वीक बाद डाल दूं या लिंक्डइन पे कर सकते हैं 1 हफ्ते बाद.
Thank you, Suryansh. Suryansh, anyone would like to ask anything about AI in national education
हाँ
policy?
ये वाली ले ली मैंने. सर्टिफिकेट भेज दोगे सर आप बाद में. आपने अभी मैसेज किया.
Suryansh, I have one basic query. You're talking about soil, you're talking about e-Diksha, you're talking about the initiative statement by the Ministry of Education in national education policy. But do you think that something is clear-cut mentioned in national education policy about the use of AI?
So data safety कि सर उसमें डाटा लीक होता है सर उसमें तो मैं कैसे प्रोटेक्ट करना चाहिए मैं एजुकेट भी करना चाहिए उसमें.
AI basically, I think I'm from the political science background, not from computer science background. But AI is something different technology. We are using in a different form like Gemini, like Perplexity, like Cloudy, Llama, and different AI platforms we are using. And even most of the students in Indian university as well as in foreign university are using AI for their research. But we know that we have to use the AI as a tool, not as a complete writer. But nowadays, most of the students are developing their content through the AI. And it's very easy to identify this content is prepared by AI. Very easy. But these are the initiatives of government as an ICT tool in national education policy. But national education policy, I think, now talking about AI. AI is just recent development.
So India is a growing country. इसमें भी सर AI ना भी बहुत तो वो है अभी वास्ट अभी जैसे फॉरेन में आप देख सकते हो AI बहुत आ रखा है अभी इंडिया में लोग इतना एजुकेट भी नहीं है के बारे में उन्हें तो पता भी नहीं है.
मैं मानता हूँ बिल्कुल आप ठीक कह रहे हैं AI का बहुत यूज हो रहा है पर राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के अंदर AI की बात कहाँ कही गई है उसका डॉक्यूमेंट है उसमें कही गई है ये बात. राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति जो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी which was launched by government of India by Ministry of Education in 2020 क्या उसमें AI की बात कही गई है कोई बल्कि गवर्नमेंट तो ये कह रही है the use of AI should be curbed up to 20%.
CBSE ने भी क्लास 9 के बाद से AI के वो कोर्सेज निकाल दिए स्कूल में.
ICT टेक्नोलॉजीज है AI के कोर्सेज हैं बिल्कुल डेफिनेटली मानते कोर्सेज हैं AI की कोडिंग है AI को लेकर बहुत सारे सोर्सेज हैं बट एजुकेशन में तो जितना कम AI का लिमिटेड यूज किया जाए उतना अच्छा. अदरवाइज हम अपना ट्रेडिशनल रीडिंग और ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज को भूल जाएंगे.
सर अब देखो मॉडर्न टाइम है और अब AI आपको कितना हेल्प करता है.
जरूरत है बिल्कुल
मुझे वो तो है
पहले
पहले
भी करता हूँ इस्तेमाल.
अब मान लो बुक कोई अवेलेबल नहीं है तो AI पे आप एकदम से डाल दो और अब मैं कोई सिचुएशन में हो आप ठीक है इमरजेंसी वाली वहाँ बुक अवेलेबल नहीं है तो हमारा टेक्नोलॉजी हेल्प करेगी.
A lot of data is already available on internet. Lot of books are available on every area.
सर हमें हमारी पर्सनल बेसिक नीड पे ही बता देना जो हमें पर्टिकुलर चाहिए होती है वो थोड़ा हेल्प करता है.
बहुत अच्छा बस थोड़ा सा मुझे जो कंफ्यूजन था कि जो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है उसमें AI की बात मैंने नहीं पढ़ी 2020 में जो उसका पूरा ड्राफ्ट आया था उसमें AI के ऊपर कोई बात नहीं. थैंक यू
सर थैंक यू.
थैंक यू.
Do we have Miss Priya Goyal with us? Miss Priya Goyal.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We almost concluded, all the presenters have completed their presentations. Just a final kind of comments on the general presentations that we had. Most of the people, they tried their best. Research is not perfect game. We always learn whether they are senior professors or Nobel laureates or undergraduate students and masters and PhD students. We always learn from each other. And so we just need to practice the best practices. That's all we need to be. Research is a dynamic process. We all need to learn on an everyday basis from everybody that we listen to and so on. I really appreciate the students at the undergraduate level. When I was undergraduate student, I never had an opportunity to even sit in the international conference such as this. But the students from DSPSR, students from Guru Gobind College, and that was many institutions as part of Delhi University. At least they were able to come to the stage and share their knowledge and the research. We need to appreciate such kind of initiatives. And I would like to request all of you to have a very big round of applause for such kind of students. Thank you. So, general observation, as I said, that they did their best, and I really impressed the way they collected the data, they connect the dots, and they were able to bring some meaningful dialogues and meaningful ideas. So I'm happy for that. And of course, we always need to encourage and give the feedback to such people. The only drawback here is here that, ladies and gentlemen, the students, if they use the chat GPT without using their mind, the purpose of research will be easily defeated because they don't know what they have done there. They don't understand the technicality. There's all of us, we spend all our lifetime to understand what research is all about and what is the method, what is the methodology, and what is the research objective and the hypothesis and the question. And then we connect again back in our results and discussion. And we also draw conclusions and so on and so forth. So the problem is that with ChatGPT, not only the students, but also the professors from IITs and IIMs and all other institutions across the globe begin to use the ChatGPT and the AI technologies. So AI tools are there only to support us, not to take our mind out and then probably work as our mind on our behalf. That is really going to be detrimental for the whole learning and as well as research process. So I think these are some of my points I'd like to share with you. But I would like to congratulate everybody who presented, and I also would like to thank all the students who are sitting patiently for the past few hours and listening to everybody. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, sir. First of all, I would like to congratulate to all the students of DSPSR and all the paper presenters who are here from Delhi University, from IP University, or from DSPS University. It is important to be a presenter, and I would like to congratulate to all the students of DSPSR. They are very active, and I think your university is giving you a golden opportunity. Even some of the students of Delhi University are not getting this platform to present their paper at any suitable platform. It's very difficult for them to get a chance to present their paper in any national or international seminar. And you all have to be very thankful to DSPSR, Deen Dayal Upadhyay College, and all other collaborations who are giving you this opportunity. And being a student, please work on your holistic development. Not only a single part of your personality, you have to work on every part of your personality. And believe me, hum aaj bhi seekh rahe hain. We are still learning. We are here not as a professor. Sir is very senior than me. We are not as a professor. We are still, he is a student of commerce and a student of political science. We are still learning. And learning has to be continued till the end of this life. We have to be thankful to our parents. to our country, to our institution, and please do your best in your life and be positive. Always encourage yourself, always faith on yourself, and always think आप 5 साल बाद अपने आप को कहाँ देखना चाहते हैं, where you want to be, see yourself after the completion of 5 years or 6 years. Please work on that, my dear. Please work on that. आप लोगों में बहुत अच्छी एनर्जी है, बहुत अच्छा कैलिबर है, और आज की यंग जनरेशन में बहुत अच्छा कैलिबर है. इसका पॉजिटिव यूज करें. 5 साल बाद अपने आप को कहाँ देखना चाहते हैं, उस पे आज से काम कीजिएगा. Not start your planning after the completion of graduation. Please start it right now. This is the golden time. Please work on yourself and do some exercise on daily basis. Do your study on regular basis, and always assess yourself by your hard work. कि अभी मुझे 1 साल में कहाँ पहुंचना है, पिछले 1 साल में, आने वाले 1 साल में कहाँ जाना है, और 3-4 साल बाद, 5 साल मुझे कहाँ होना है. कुछ लोग एकेडमिक्स में जाना चाहेंगे, कुछ लोग बिजनेस में जाना चाहेंगे, कुछ लोग यूपीएससी करना चाहेंगे. प्लीज जो भी करना है उसके लिए आज से करें. उसके लिए क्या क्वालिफिकेशंस, क्या एलिजिबिलिटी, क्या पोटेंशियल चाहिए, उसको डेवलप करें. आज जितनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, पहले उतनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं थी. सर को पता है, पहले गूगल भी नहीं था, इतना ज्यादा एम्पल स्टडी मटेरियल भी नहीं था, एआई तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं था. पर कहीं ना कहीं आज बहुत सारी चीजें हम लोगों को मिल रही है एजुकेशन सेक्टर में, पर शायद हम उसका ऑप्टिमम यूज, उसका पॉजिटिव यूज नहीं कर पा रहे. प्लीज ट्राई टू यूज all these technologies, all these digital libraries for your personality development, for your knowledge enhancement. But please do your study in a traditional mode. उसको मत छोड़िएगा. जो बुक रीडिंग है उसको मत छोड़िएगा. हैंड राइटिंग से याद करना, लिखना, उसको मत छोड़िएगा. ट्रेडिशनल रीडिंग भी रखिए, मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी का भी इस्तेमाल करिए, तब जाकर के आप मार्केट की एक्सपेक्टेशंस को फुलफिल कर पाएंगे. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Professor Ravindra Raina, sir, to kindly present a token of appreciation to Professor Ritesh Bhardwaj, sir, for his role as session co-chair.
Participation important है. First, second, third इतना important नहीं है. Participation important है. And I especially appreciate your efforts. Your paper is very good. And you are giving us very tangible input. Thank you. Very tremendous. Very प्लीज आप लोग लंच ज्वाइन कर सकते
Students, लंच के बाद यहीं पर सब वापस आ जाएंगे and attendance is mandatory.
कुछ लोगों ने अटेंडेंस मार्क नहीं किए बाहर रिसेप्शन पर. वो लोग अपनी अटेंडेंस मार्क कर लीजिए और अभी दोबारा से अटेंडेंस आपकी वैलिडिटी सेशन में दोबारा होगी. ठीक है. ऑल द बेस्ट. लाइव स्ट्रीम बंद कर दूं आपको.